He's here? You mean there's actually a show this week? Yes. Hello, I'm MrWarrenHayes. I'm back. Yes, a couple of weeks of goofiness and all sorts of weird stuff happening, but things seem to be in order. I feel good. I feel fine. I'm ready. How is everybody doing? Welcome to the MrWarrenHayes Show. It is a pro wrestling podcast. We're going to be talking about some stuff that happened earlier this week, stuff that is coming up over the next couple of days. It's a good show. It's a good time. I hope you're into it because I sure am. And just before we do, I just want to ask you, would you mind leaving a like on this video if you're watching it on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes? I'd appreciate it a great deal. You know, you can even subscribe to the channel as well. That way you'll also get my Dynamite and Collision reviews, which happen every Thursday and Sunday respectively. That'd be awesome. And you'll also get notified when we record the MrWarrenHayes Show live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll get a nice little notification. So if you're able to make it, I'd be thrilled to have you. That would be tremendous. But, just listening right now is also tremendous. And anything you can do to, show some love would be tremendous. And I appreciate it a great deal. Just like if you're listening to this on your favorite audio platform, as a podcast, right? 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and 5-star ratings on Spotify. Those are tremendous. They help out a great deal. So again, it's the holiday season. Why don't you just drop some of those? Those would be tremendous. Join the MrWarrenHayes Show Discord as well. Link is in the description. If you want to continue the conversation and connect with fellow wrestling fans, we'd love to have you there as well. But listen, we're gonna get to it tonight because I have a stacked show. Lots of things to go through. Yes, we're doing the NXT Deadline review. Yes, we're recapping the AEW Continental Classic, where we are so far. Yes, we're also reviewing Impact Wrestling's Final Resolution show, the final Impact show of forever. We're going to be talking about that as well. But before we get into it, we're talking about wrestler contracts. We're talking about MLW and WWE, a couple of other tidbits. Thank you all for being here. Let's get to it. It's time for the weekly wrestling inspection. Just before we get into the crux of everything, right? We earlier today, Dave Meltzer dropped an ambiguous tweet, and it's just popping into my head right now because I was like, oh, you should just mention it, you should address it, and now it's like I almost forgot, so I'm not ready. Let me pull up okay. So this is the tweet that Dave dropped today. And of course, there's very little context since. Things are changing greatly. Let's just say things changed greatly with Raw negotiations from a few weeks ago, and Punk is a huge part of the selling point. So this, of course, has sent shockwaves through just about anyone who absorbs the world of professional wrestling, such as I, because everyone's wondering, well, what the hell is he talking about? What does he mean exactly? Well, a couple of weeks ago, if we're talking about a couple of weeks ago, it was reported that Nick Khan went to meet with Warner Bros. Discovery and was kind of hand-waved, right? It's like they had a nice meeting, but it's like, okay, thank you, no thank you. That was what was reported. Now, if Dave is dropping this tweet here, talking about things having greatly changed from just a few weeks ago regarding the Raw negotiations, because what I forgot to mention is that Nick Khan went to visit WBD to negotiate a TV deal for Raw. And pretty much everyone started shrugging, right? This has kind of shot some, got some people really, really excited about this and sort of wondering. I mean, that's what it has to mean, right? And everyone, there's a bunch of people saying, look, Dave, just say it. Just outright say it and don't be goofy about it or don't say anything at all. But I think this is what it means, that maybe the negotiations between Warner Bros. and Warner Bros. and Warner Bros. Discovery, that's the piece of in WWE, are progressing, are moving forward. There's going to be something to this, maybe. I don't want to speculate too much into it. I just want to mention it here. Because look, there's all sorts of thoughts going through my mind right now, but they're pointless to bring up until something actually happens, right? Of course, I have no trouble believing that somehow Phil getting into WWE and as he opened the door, maybe he was able to push things in a certain direction just to stick it to Tony Khan, which is entirely possible. Tony Khan, who has been, loyal to a fault to Warner Bros. Discovery, to the point that he did not consider sending Ring of Honor to the CW because he didn't want to negotiate with other networks while he was still under contract with Warner Bros. Discovery. And I guess that's a little to his detriment, right? Because it's NXT that picked up the CW. And now if Warner Bros. Is like, no, maybe we'll get Raw over here. Well, who looks like a fool here? Who just got Kendall Royd in this, right? Anyway, the point here, because we got some, there were some, of course, Tony Khan was on the did the Ring of Honor media call, so all of this sort of coincided at once. Some weird timing by Dave here. Interesting that this news drops just before the media call, right? It's hard to not like scratch your head and go. I've told you guys, gals, and non-binary pals this multiple times in the past. Always wonder why stuff gets leaked. It never gets leaked because everything is going well and no one has anything to say or no one has an agenda. Shit gets leaked because people have a narrative they want to construct, or they have an agenda they want to push. So there's, you have to wonder why this was leaked. Like, what was it, like about an hour before the start of the media call, so that Tony would have to answer to these. And, there's a couple of interesting quotes that came up here where Tony Khan said that he was still in good talks with Warner Bros. Discovery, and he had even a meeting with them earlier today. He said Ring of Honor is still a quote-unquote third party in the relationship and quote-unquote peripheral to the conversation. So just so that everyone understands what that means is Ring of Honor is not going to be on Warner Bros. Discovery. Like that's just not a thing that's ever going to happen, I don't think. Because they're really kept on the outside here. Tony Khan also said, I said that he had really good talks with Warner Bros. Discovery, but he also said that he is looking forward to both AEW and Ring of Honor being in the media rights marketplace in 2024. And I think that's significant. I don't want to read too much into it, but I think it might be, sometimes you just have to follow the trail of breadcrumbs once in a while, right? Sometimes the crumbs, don't mean anything and they're just crumbs, but sometimes they lead you to stuff. And Tony's language when it comes to, every time he talks about the media deals, when he talks about his relationship with Warner Bros., he never outright says, he doesn't use this type of language where he comes out and says, can't wait for AEW to be out there in the marketplace for 2024, open for all buy. Like, he's basically saying AEW is going to be open for business in 2024, whereas even today he's saying our relationship with Warner Bros. is strong. We don't see, we said in the past, it's very strong. We got great partners. We get along fantastic. There's all sorts of synergies that happen all the time. Then again, David Zaslav sitting at the top of the hill there, like the Grim Reaper of entertainment, just waving his scythe around, cutting all sorts of shit down. I wouldn't be surprised if, he's talking to Nick Khan and next thing you know, he's like, you know what? Fuck AEW. Yeah, fuck this shit. But listen, these are basic entry level thoughts as we are supplied with just a handful of information, right? And speculation, it's rumor at this point. So, I'm excited to revisit this when something actually happens, but I at least wanted to put this on record that this happened today. These are my thoughts. We can go deeper on them, but I think it's pointless. And I'm going to save them for if something happens. But I think one thing that we do have to keep in mind, because of course the doom and gloomers are all over the place. AEW fans, the panic button is hit. And I think we all need to take a deep breath, calm the fuck down. AEW will have a television deal, whether it's with Warner Bros. Discovery or not. They're going to be somewhere, and they're going to be doing something. Okay? And everyone, Destination America, hopefully not. You'd assume they'd be able to land a bigger network than Destination America. And then, I'm starting to think at the same time, is this why WWE wants to spread out so much onto different networks with different partnerships? Because if they can lock down their exclusivities, where they keep telling, where they come to their partners and say, look, you want us on Fox, well, you cannot air any other wrestling programming. It's us or nothing kind of thing. Is that what's happening here? Is this part of the issue here? So, I don't know how much. I think I've already read too much into it, and I think there's a lot of time that's been spent here on this. What I'm trying to say, though, what I want to say is, if you hear these rumors, and if you go on the internet and you look at people arguing about it and going nuts about it, AEW is more than likely going to be fine. And if AEW is not going to be the first wrestling promotion to change networks, okay? WWE did it a couple of times, and they were in some miserable straits at some point. So we've all seen this before. It's something that likely they'll bounce back off from regardless. Just have to see how things play out. But there's no doom and gloom situation here. AEW is not hitting the bricks. It's not done forever. Thank you very much. Nothing like that. So there you go. Yeah, and you see, at the same time, what Zach in the chat is talking about makes a lot of sense. Recently there was an Endeavor executive that made some comments at a conference a while back about being okay waiting until next year for a deal to be struck with Raw, right? And AEW's deal is up next year. No one's getting knocked off the network tomorrow or next month or in January. January is next month, I'm going. It's I think we need to. I just think we need to chill out a little bit in that regard, if you ask me. Let's get to some contract news to begin with. First of all, big news came out, got everyone talking and getting excited here. Kazuchika Okada, his contract is coming up. Oh, and G. Willikers, WWE is interested in him. How many times have we heard? How many times just this year this year has this story broke. X contract is up, or X is a free agent, WWE is interested. And then it becomes like a thing. And I keep telling you guys, well, of course they should be interested in Kazuchika Okada or Will Ospreay or Jay White or Dragon Lee, you know? It's like, of course they should be interested. These are some terrific pro wrestlers. Julia, although Triple H, I think he made it clear that he doesn't know who Julia is. Anyway. We get this Okada news every couple of years. Whenever his contract does come up, then suddenly it's like, oh, he might be going. He might be going. And he never ends up going, right? Then it's like, he continues. He continues being Kazu, and he's tremendous, and, continues being the face of Apero, right? But Sports Illustrated decided to get into the mix here, and then reported that Kazuchika Okada was going to entertain outside offers in once his contract is up at the end of January 2024. Now, I'm going to read verbatim here from the Observer article here. Well, this is actually from Dave, from the Observer itself. So we might have some funky grammar. We noted that WWE looking at making a deal with Okada, there's a word missing there. Although that's been the case for years, but the idea was that previously Okada was never interested in leaving, and now he might be. The idea is that he can earn more in the US, which makes sense, right? Because my understanding is that the yen versus the US dollar isn't great, and then you come to the, you get paid in US dollars, you convert it back to yen, and you're like, you're like on a boat. It might be okay. The idea is that he could earn more in the US. Okay, but it also should be, excuse me, but it also should be noted that Okada's wife, Suzuko Momori, is a well-known actress based in Japan, and so that plays an aspect on whether or not he would leave. And I didn't know she was an actress. Like, I knew she was a voice actress. I didn't know she was an actress. Let me just pull up. Let's just make a little research off of Dave's allegations here. Japanese actress and singer. Okay. She was active in stage musicals. All right. She met president of Bushiroad, Takari Kidani, during one of her stage musicals. Which led her to being offered a chance to become a voice actress and auditioning for her first role in 2008. And then, okay. She married Kazuchika Okada in 2019. And the old Kazu's also a dad too, right? It's not just about the wife, it's about the whole family at this point. Now look, I don't know how, look, you look at her, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, right? But you look at her, her body of work, like her, and it's all anime, which is fine, don't get me wrong. To me, there's a difference between an actor and a voice actor. Like, to me, there's a difference because you're able to do one doesn't mean you're able to do the other. Anyway. We're off track. Obviously, the line last week in the Observer, this is what Dave is talking about here, when Shinsuke Nakamura, the line last week on Raw, when Shinsuke Nakamura talked about Cody Rhodes and bringing chaos with him and the renewed Nakamura push, we're tied into this. I find it interesting that Dave Meltzer is calling whatever the hell they're doing with Shinsuke Nakamura a push. Now, chat, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to me that when a wrestler is in the midst of a push, they win matches. They are, their status rises. When did this Shinsuke Nakamura push begin? Because I don't see it. Didn't he just recently lose to Seth Rollins like twice in a row? And now he's not defeating Cody Rhodes. Like, there's one guy, if there's one guy protected as much as Roman, it's Cody Rhodes, right? I don't know what push Dave is talking about. Because I know this is not the first time that Dave reported on this, on Okada's WWE aspirations. I remember last time he said, this is one of the reasons why they're giving Shinsuke Nakamura a push. And I'm like, where the fuck is the push? Where is this push? Dave, have we lost the plot on what a push is? Swerve Strickland in AEW right now is in the midst of a push. That is incontestable. Trick Williams in NXT is in the midst of a push. That's like if you told me, that big old Lexis King push. I don't know. So he continues, he being Dave, after WWE didn't get Will Ospreay, that will probably make them push harder for Okada. AEW would be the better style fit for Okada, but Okada is the face of New Japan. It's something to pay attention to. It's way too early to put odds on whether something will happen. One thing notable is that in the history of Japanese wrestling, there has never been a top Japanese guy in that industry that ever left for a US offer. They've done dates, but from Riki Dozan, Toyo Nobori, Baba, Inoki, Misawa, Muto, Kabashi, Tanahashi, or Okada, the top Japanese star of the era never left Japan when he was the guy carrying the top company. He then gives a couple of exceptions or counterexamples with Shinsuke, but they were like three guys being pushed at once, right? And Kenta leaving while he was the top guy in Noah, and then Io Shirai as well. So he kind of counteracts his own point. I don't know what he was trying to say here. Okada has obviously been loyal to New Japan and has talked about wanting to rebuild New Japan to its pre-pandemic levels, but he's 36 and has been through wars. Those in WWE who noted interest to us pointed out that he's done everything he could do, set all kinds of records, and thus may be open to new challenges. The challenge of, sitting around and catering and maybe getting a farting gimmick like, Akira Tozawa. The last we were told, while there was interest, and there always has been, and they do think the chances are better of getting him now than before, by no means was this viewed as any kind of sure thing. Okada would also strengthen WWE in Japan, although because Japan has almost always had its own companies that are fixtures, WWE has not had the success in the market that they have had in most places they tour. Are we once again going to start talking about NXT Japan? Are we gonna get down on that? I know we've got some gamers here. I know we do. What's the equivalent of vaporware in pro wrestling? What's the equivalent? Do we have a term for that? Because I racked my brain trying to figure it out. Because NXT Japan is like fucking Duke Nukem Forever. It's like Beyond Good and Evil 2. Just games that have always been like on promises and they never happen, or when in the case of Duke Nukem Forever it did eventually happen, but like for years. So every time I hear talk about NXT Japan, I'm like, oh, we're going back into fairy tales. We're the boogeyman and fucking the tooth fairies and whatever the fuck. I know Dave didn't mention NXT Japan and stuff, but this is the kind of thing that you hear where it's like, oh, well, it'll definitely help solidify, their presence for NXT Japan. That's what they said about Shinsuke. That's what they said about Io Shirai. That's what they said about Kairi Sane coming back too, right? Again, you don't fire this off without a plan or whatnot. I can attest to that. But I am so sick of hearing about, their NXT Japan plans. It's a fuck off. Until they book a show under a banner called NXT Japan. It just doesn't exist, and it will never exist. It'll be a dream in Paul Levesque's head. Anyway, pardon me. What do we take away here from this stuff here? Well, I'm with Dave. There's nothing really to talk about at this point. It could go either way. Obviously, if Okada decides to go to WWE, well, I bid him a lovely retirement. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Here's the thing: is like he says AEW would be a better fit for him. Like I'm still recently, and mostly because of the Continental Classic that we'll talk about a little later in the show, AEW has regained some of my trust, I guess, but I'm still not 100% all in on. I'm still not 100% all in that AEW is going down the right path. This might just be a diversion. It could be just like a fork in the road to take a longer road to take the loop back to the same street kind of thing. Like I'm not excited. Excuse me. Let me say that again. I'm not particularly confident that they're going to do the right thing for Will Ospreay, who is at the height of his career, greatest pro wrestler on earth. They've got a bombshell in their hands right now. Will they be able to handle it? If Kazu becomes available, will they be able to book him properly? I don't know. I honestly do not know if that will be a thing. Because I don't have 2 years ago, I'd be bouncing out of my seat. I'd be slapping my hands and be like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Now I'm like, what is the better destination for Kazuchika Okada in North America? I think there's legitimate pros, but huge cons in both camps. And I'm not trying to be funny here and be punny. There are CONs in both situations. So look, Okada's coming down in January for the TNA kickoff, Hard to Kill. He's not coming down here to just do a date. He's coming down to meet people. He's coming down to shake some hands. He's coming down to listen to some offers. He's coming to wheel and deal. I'm convinced. Sure, and hey, TNA could do could come in and swoop him up, right? Right? But with the way the world of pro wrestling is structured outside of World Wrestling Entertainment, with all the back and forth of talent sharing and whatnot, which is much more ingrained in Japan than it is in North America. But now with Impact having its relationship with New Japan and AEW as well, and CMLL getting into the mix, like you'd think a guy like Okada would want to continue to be able to work on a world stage and work all these different shows. You'd think. So maybe, his preference would be there, or he might just want to sit around and collect as much money without putting in an eighth of the effort that he would in Japan. And I can't blame him either. At some point, I think every warrior deserves his Valhalla or hers. So I can't blame him for either. But it is absolutely an interesting story to keep abreast, because as far as I remember, I don't think we've ever heard with Dave report with aplomb that he was entertaining outside offers. Look, I think this is tremendous. I think it's great. Thank God we have multiple wrestling promotions where guys and gals can play off of each other like that. I mean, it's tremendous stuff. I'm all for it. I think it's great. The other contract situation that let Okada serve. Hey, by the way, Tim Traver, nice to see you, pal, and welcome to the stream, buddy. We heard some reports this week about another fellow's contract who is coming due sooner than later. That is one Seth freaking Rollins. This is a Fightful Select report, if I'm not mistaken, saying that in June 2024, Rollins' contract is up. The two sides, meaning Seth and WWE, have not spoken about a possible extension, but WWE is expected to make re-signing old Seth a tippy-top priority. At the same time, the Fightful story said that Becky Lynch's contract is also believed to expire around June 2024. And she signed a new deal with WWE in 2021, and the time she spent on maternity leave is not expected to be tacked on to the length of her contract. My God, a classy move. So this is another one that got a lot of people talking, right? Especially with the CM Punk angle going on right now. By the way, I think it's hilarious that so many people are invested into this CM Punk angle with, because I saw the promo. I thought it was pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's hilarious that they're literally running the Hangman angle with Seth in lieu of Adam Page. That instead of that, they have Seth Rollins playing the defender of WWE, right? And, it's practically verbatim. I'm going, anyway, it doesn't look. I don't want to get into it. And honestly, here, the thing that I have here is that I don't believe for a second that it all comes across as terribly inauthentic, because I've heard it all before in AEW from two guys who legitimately didn't like each other, right? Whereas here it comes across as scripted. It feels scripted. You can feel the words being rehearsed. It doesn't feel natural. It feels like a work. It doesn't feel real. So I'm not into this. If I had any inclination that Seth Rollins was really fucking pissed off, I'd probably be more into this, but I can't. So when we get to, but notwithstanding that, people are losing their minds right now because they're like, oh, is Seth going to leave because CM Punk got back in? Maybe he's going to, maybe he's going to be, maybe he doesn't have to be, wait, what was I trying to? Yeah, maybe he's going to be doing the job for CM Punk on his way out. It's like, Okay, maybe, sure, but also this is WWE where everything is like so completely contrived. Like there is nothing organic about this company, right? So when it comes to Seth, I don't want to get into the Seth Rollins CM Punk feud. I'm really not all that invested into it regardless. So there's no point in me spending a half hour talking about it. When it comes to Seth's contract though, his thing particularly, there's really there's two avenues here, right? The logical one, right, is that the two logical ones, he stays or he goes, right? And both make sense. And him leaving would be shocking. It would be an absolute stunner. I don't think anyone would see it coming. Look, Seth has been a company guy. He has stood up for WWE in multiple occasions. He has, he's always told the line. He's followed, he's followed the company code. He's done rah-rah speeches. Like, he's done it all. Like, it's wild that in this environment we're talking about maybe Seth could leave when, you look at his history and you're like, you look at his history and where he is today and you're like, no, this is a lifer. This is a made man here. Why would he want to go anywhere else? And to me, I think that's the safe bet. The two sides haven't talked yet. All right. When should they start talking? Like, what's the delay here? How, when does it become an emergency? When do we hit the panic button? It's like, I don't know, to me, you ask me, my gut feeling was like, there's no way he's going, right? There's no way he's going anywhere. But let's just open a floodgate here. Let's just imagine the opposite, okay? Let's just say, bear with me here. We're just shooting the shit, right? Having a little gas, a little fun times here. What if he's sitting there in this company, holding a consolation world championship prize, because it was given to another guy who we came up with in the company, right? Roman Reigns, who maybe in his brain he says, I'm a much better wrestler than this guy. I'm a much more complete package, And he sees Roman Reigns with the title, invincible, now on the fucking, now on the Brock schedule, He's like, what the hell? What am I doing here every week? Busting my ass as I've been doing for weeks, months, years. Trying to get this company to pin me as the guy. And they're not going to put me up here as the guy. I'm not going to be the guy here. They have me laying down for Cody Rhodes, who is going to be a guy in this company, a guy above me. They're going to have me lay down to CM Punk, for fuck's sake. And they're protecting Roman so much that they had to create another title, another world title, to keep people like me happy. It's like, oh, there was a time I was at the top of the hill. I don't see this happening ever again. Do any of you see Seth Rollins at this point, at this conjecture in the company? Do you see his trajectory as into becoming Universal Champion? Is he going to be a top guy when the business is at its apex? No. So maybe there's a little resentment starting to build, right? Oh yeah, the heist of the century. That's all they ever fucking talk about, right? he looks over to the other side and he sees another guy that he came up with and, on the main roster. Was in AEW, not just AEW, he's fucking everywhere, right? He's just doing stuff everywhere. And he's working a much lighter schedule. And whatever schedule, if the schedule he's working is a hard one, is because he picked it, right? If Jon Moxley is working, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then by the way, squeezes in a flight to Japan, that's on him. No one is twisting his arm here. So what if he's looking at his pal Dean, his pal John, gallivanting all the way across the Pacific and making a name for himself and coming across as a huge star and a big deal, and maybe Seth is like, you know what? I could do that. I'm not saying this whether he'd be successful or not. I'm just saying, I think it's possible for a guy in Seth's shoes to be like, look, this is my fucking ceiling here in this company. Coming out in goofy costumes so that people can take a screen cap, put it on their Twitter account, and caption it with like, LMAO, what WTF is Seth wearing this week? LMAO. Have people chant to a song and cackle. Where, however the hell he laughs. Maybe he's like, okay, what if it does not get better than this? What if he's fed up of hearing all this talk that Seth Rollins will, not a great wrestler. He's never measured himself up against the greatest. He's only measured himself up against other people who work the same house style. We know he can work, but how good is he? How great of a wrestler is Seth Rollins? We don't know. Maybe he's fed up of all of this. Maybe he's in a Mercedes Moné kind of mood. Maybe he's in a Sasha Banks kind of mood where he's like, hey, you know what? Let me go test the waters out. Let me just go dive into a couple of other pools here. Fed up at the level of pH here in this fucking pool here. It's all too saline. Let me go elsewhere. The idea that Seth Rollins, here's the thing. If there is any Tyler Black left in Seth Rollins, right? You understand where I'm coming from here? If there's anything left of Tyler Black and Seth Rollins, I would assume he would take an opportunity to go knock on other doors and try some shit out. And yes, Tony Khan will throw the bank to sign fucking Seth Rollins to his company. What are we talking about? He did that to fucking Edge. And I would argue that Seth would be a better draw for the company than Edge. Adam Copeland. It's me. I'm not saying Seth wants to go work Japan. But I'm saying maybe Seth wants to put this Will Ospreay bullshit he wants to put it down pat. He wants to end it. How excited can he be to be wrestling CM Punk? How much more money is Seth Rollins going to make by wrestling CM Punk that he isn't making already? Right? How many more right now, Seth Rollins, for all intents and purposes, is a gatekeeper in this company. He's a gatekeeper, and right now the former AEW stars their proving ground is Seth Rollins. His matches with Cody were tremendous, right? Tremendous matches. I think I liked wasn't it the second one? I think the WrestleMania match I really liked. And the second one, I think I liked it better. And I know a lot of people lost their shit at the Hell in a Cell, right? Because of Cody's injury. But I still think the second match was better. Seth lost all those matches. It's not going to be anything different with CM Punk. What are we talking about here? So, look, we're just shooting this shit, as I said. Safe money is Seth freaking Rollins remains with the World Wrestling Entertainment Corporation. Because he's a made man. Why would he go try and fuck anything up elsewhere? He's got the money. But if there's any pro wrestler left in that sports entertainer, maybe entertaining offers elsewhere, maybe building his own schedule, doing his own thing. Look, here's another guy, Nick Nemeth right now, right? Nick Nemeth said, oh, I'm going to take a break, and then he's going to go wrestle in Puerto Rico, right, at the WWC. Good for him. Don't get me wrong. It's like, he'll do whatever the hell he wants, and maybe Seth could be at that point as well. What else I feel like this is the best Seth is going to get at this point. I think his last big run as a top guy was his Universal Championship run, right? Wasn't that it? When he beat Brock? He was the guy who finally beat Brock, right? I think that was it. I don't think he's going to be a guy. I really don't. And, and here's the thing. Becky is, she's another one that you could be like, well, what does WWE have left to offer her? They haven't treated her like a big deal in a couple of years now. Like a truly big deal. And for someone who arguably, for a period of time, was the face of this fucking company. No, she's one of the top women. She's a top star, but she's not the man anymore. You know what I mean? Like, she's not a fraction of what she used to be. What does she do? Maybe her options are not as, maybe they don't free flow as easily as Seth's. Where do you go to wrestle, in a with a proper women's division, right? And you don't go to AEW for that. I don't think do you think Becky Lynch at this stage in her career would be like, yeah, let's fucking go Joshi all the way. Hit me up, let's go do some, TJPW, Hit me up, Stardom. Probably not. I'd be, color me surprised if she ever did want to, but, Becky's a fine little wrestler and all. So maybe her options are a little more guided. I don't know. Interesting little contract tidbits here that I wanted to share with you, and of course we will be keeping an eye on here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. MLW and WWE finally reached a settlement for their lawsuit that had been filed a couple of years ago, I think, at this point, right? Here we go. It was an antitrust lawsuit that MLW had levied onto WWE because it was in January 2022. I just found the information here. Because MLW alleged that WWE put pressure on third parties to abandon relationships with MLW, and they had specifically mentioned, the Tubi relationship, right? With Stephanie McMahon calling. The lawsuit also alleged WWE put pressure on Vice TV to stop working with MLW as well. But it turns out, and this news broke yesterday, that thanks to documents obtained by WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston, again, the usual weekly plug for everything WrestleNomics related, Lawyers for MLW and WWE submitted a notice of settlement to the courts on Monday being yesterday. The final settlement documents are expected to be filed within the next 30 days. In accordance, this is from the filing, in accordance with the court's standing order for civil cases, section 4F1, plaintiff MLW Media LLC and defendant World Wrestling Entertainment Inc., together the parties, hereby submit this notice of settlement to notify the court that the parties have settled this action. The parties are in the process of completing the final settlement documents and expect to file the appropriate dismissal papers within the next 30 days. Not much surprise here. Really not much of a surprise here. I think we had all figured it out that this was going to happen, especially, I don't know if you recall this story, but the last filing that happened was the WWE had filed for dismissal, specifying, basically saying MLW's case, saying that we run a monopoly essentially, is ludicrous. That because look, AEW, they're on TV, they have big money cable, deals and whatnot. So we can't be a monopoly if there's a competitor out there. Basically shut them down, and also adding in the filing, oh, by the way, one of the wrestlers you hired, he calls himself Enzo, NZO. Yeah, that's copyright infringement on 2 of our IPs, so you better get him to stop. So there was no surprise here that Cord Bauer and MLW were going to settle on this one. And honestly, this is all they really wanted. Anyone who had any hope in Cord Bauer becoming the protector of free enterprise, in the world of pro wrestling, anyone who thought that got a fucking rude awakening. He was in this to get a payday from WWE and, keep MLW in operation for however long it's going to sustain it, right? It makes sure, I would have liked WWE to, get a big fat fucking L. Of course. We've been around the block a couple of times with old Cord Bauer here. Been up and down this road before. Maybe he'll be able to pay some of his talent. Oops. That's sarcasm. Listen, Cord got what he wanted. He threw in, he found an opportunity, he took it. WWE is going to shell out X amount of money. I read somewhere that, we'll see how much money WWE has to divest in their quarterly earnings, but I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we're ever going to know, even in quarterly earnings, how much, right? Unless TKO has this really weird, because every time WWE was, settled a lawsuit, that's part of settling, is that you don't know the amount and no one talks about it. There's NDAs and all this bullshit. We're not going to find out how much Court got. We'll see how long Court stays in operation, how much MLW stays in operation, though. That'll be something. Maybe it was. But look, I mean, it's the resolution I was expecting, at the very least. I don't want to say don't want to do a sweeping statement. You might have been expecting something else. Maybe you were expecting true justice to be served, but that's not how the legal system works anymore, right? It's just like, however you can squeeze out money out of other people, right? That's what it's for now. So that'll be a story. That we'll wrap up. I don't know if we'll hear much about it. We'll hear about when the settlement will be signed, but again, I don't think we're going to hear much about. We're not going to hear much about what amounts were agreed upon, what were the terms. But one of the terms is absolutely going to be neither of us can speak about this publicly. Makes sense to me. So it was announced that on a press conference, I believe yesterday again on Monday, right? All of this stuff happening on just one day. During a press conference for New Japan's Big Wrestle Kingdom 18 event, New Japan revealed in this press conference that the prize to be won in the three-way between Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay will decide, the prize will be the inaugural IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. That's right. We're getting a GHC belt in New Japan. The new title takes the place of the IWGP United States / UK Championship, whatever the hell you want to call it. That was, they were basically smashed to bits by, they were basically smashed to bits by Dave Finlay, who came in to completely ruin my Wrestle Kingdom, forcing me into a three-way where I was like, Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley, yes please. Then we had this anyway. This is the statement from Naoki Shugabayashi, the New Japan Pro Wrestling chairman. Here's his statement. Hey, Will Davis, member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Nice to see you. The IWGP US Heavyweight Championship came into being in July 2017 to mark New Japan Pro Wrestling's first major event in the United States of America in Long Beach. After its introduction, it became the symbol of New Japan Pro Wrestling competition in the USA. In the years that followed, the title would be defended in Japan, becoming familiar to Japanese fans as well. However, with the introduction of the IWGP UK Championship this summer, there was confusion among fans as to the status of the title. I mean, Will was running a gimmick. Our boy here took it a little too seriously. You know, the International Wrestling Grand Prix could have just sat everyone the fuck down and say, hey, whatever Ospreay's title is, whatever, piece of metal and leather he's running around with right now, that ain't ours. And it's the US title, anyway. But I understand what he's saying. But what I'm saying is come on. With that in mind, this new championship combines and adds the US and UK championship roles and will be called the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. As has already been discussed in a recent business strategy presentation, exciting, NJPW is working to ensure that 2024 sees our presence grow, not just in the UK and the US, but throughout all of Europe, the rest of Asia, and Oceania. Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia? Isn't Indonesia part of Oceania? Anyway, basically, fuck Canada is what Shugabayashi is saying. Well, fuck you, man. I wouldn't want to come here either. That's a joke. Or is it? With a mindfulness on the international space, there was discussion of renewing the defunct IWGP Intercontinental Championship. But as we already see a new level of international involvement, the IWGP Global Heavyweight name was decided to be the most fitting. We hope fans look forward to seeing the brand new title and the matches contested for it. I mean, why? I would have just brought the IC title back. I don't know what the big deal here is. Yeah, I like the idea of this being a GHC title, because then it's like, Noah, your top title is a GHC title as well, and our GHC title is the second biggest title in the promotion. From what I understand, right? I don't know if you all have the same reading as I do here, but this is going to be a title that is vowed to travel, right? To go around the world. And the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be like the promotional belt. It's going to be the biggest belt in the promotion. It's going to be like the thing in Japan, right? You're asking me, is the world champion not the global champion? Listen, Intercontinental is essentially international, and international is also global. It's also the world. So it's like, these are all words. None of it matters. Especially New Japan with its fucking promises with its titles, right? Remember when the TV title was supposed to be the title for the young whippersnappers, right? Remember that? Remember that? When it was supposed to be for the kids, it was supposed to be Ren Narita's big break. Oh, Ren Narita gonna enjoy an early retirement now that he's part of the House of Torture. Good for him. But we'll all just sit here and pine of regarding as to what could have been. Oh dear, oh my, dear, oh me, oh my. So much for the Son of Strong style. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. I would have just brought back the IC. Like, I don't know. And I don't think I'm that much. I don't think there's enough. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't think I'm as much of a purist as some people are that got really upset about this, and I've kind of become very complacent when it comes to New Japan and their titles. And it kind of all started with the new world title, and it's deciding to drop the design and the lineage of the IWGP heavyweight title for the world one. And I was like, why are we doing this? It's unnecessary. Nobody asked for this. The IWGP, heavyweight title has prestige. It was a title that was extremely protected overall. It's like, and then they do this, and then the TV title. I'm like, okay, and there's too many titles in New Japan regardless. There's too many of them. Look, let IWGP World, IWGP Global Heavyweight, right? IWGP Junior, IWGP New Japan Pro Wrestling World TV title, the King of Pro Wrestling. Wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3, right? 4, King of Pro Wrestling. IWGP Women. Sorry, I almost forgot that one. Never Openweight title. Never Openweight 6-man titles. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. The Strong Openweight title. The Strong Tag titles. The Strong Women's titles. Folks, that's 13 titles. It's 13 belts. And some of them here you don't care about. No, you can't. I'll tell you why. You can't take them out of my list here, because they're going to be defended at Wrestle Kingdom. So no, we're keeping them on here, pal, chum, buddy. Where they're staying, because they're defending those titles against the IWGP tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom in January. What the fuck? Not the singles belt. No. We're keeping them all there. They're all New Japan titles. They're all their 13 fucking belts. You know, we make fun of the NWA. Hang on a second. Let's pull this up. I want to see. Oh, this is no good. What are the active titles? Okay, list of current champions in the National Wrestling Alliance. Okay, this is good. Right now, because we make fun of the NWA for having too many fucking titles, right? Right? Let's check this out here. NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Ethan Carter III. Okay, there's one. The World Television Champion, Mims. There's two. NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Colby Corino. That's three. NWA National Champion, Thrillbilly Silas Mason. That's four. Okay, let's move on to the tag teams. NWA World Tag Team Champion, Blunt Force Trauma. All right, are we up to five now? Is this how we're counting? Is my math solid so far? Good. NWA United States Tag Team titles, the Immortals. Right, JD, Kratos, and the other guy. Odinson. There's six. And then women's titles. NWA World Women's Championship, Kenzie Page. Max the Impaler is the NWA Women's TV Champion. And then you have the Women's Tag Champions, Pretty Empowered. The fucking NWA has 9 titles. New Japan has 13. And then that's not even talking about the fucking briefcase and the trophies. You know, where you have Hiromu running around with the best Super Juniors trophy all year. The CMLL is a whole other thing. At least in CMLL, like 45% of their titles aren't even active right now, right? When's the last time the Micros had a championship match, right? Am I right though? I know I'm right. Anyway, just having a little fun here, but look, at least we got this settled. And it's got to be Mox, right? Mox has got to win this, right? Right? Like, you'd think that, or now listen, you understand. Hindsight is always 2020, right? Oh, no, I'll talk about this when I do the fucking Wrestle Kingdom preview, which is not today. But when you get to the when you like I said, hindsight is 2020. Now you realize why Dave Finlay was thrown into here, because our boy Tony Khan here was just, he had probably signed or had a handshake agreement at the very least with Will Ospreay at this point. He was probably very close, and then so he's like, well, you know what? You can have the match at Wrestle Kingdom, but not, I'm keeping my guys. I'm keeping this fight, this one-on-one fight fresh for me, which is what you do as a promoter, right? So Gedo was like, you need a rebel. And Tony Khan was like, I don't understand. What? A rebel? A rabbi? A rebel. Oh, a rebel. You need a rebel. Tony Khan needs a rebel. So they threw him in there so that he'll eat the pin. They're gonna keep the Mox Ospreay match fresh. That's essentially what's happening. And I think Mox is winning the title. Mox has fucking residency in Japan. He doesn't even need visas. He can go work there whenever he wants now. I don't need no stinking green cards or whatever. I don't need a stinking visa. I don't need no stinking rebel. I don't need a rebel. It's so dumb. But truly, right? Am I right though? Hindsight 2020. Now you're like, oh, I get it now. I understand why they did this. It still stinks. Don't get me wrong. I don't need David Finlay mucking up this match, which would have been tremendous without him. Remember that multi-man match? Was it this year or last year that Ospreay and Mox had? It was at a Strong show. It was a tag team match or a multi. It was like an 8-man tag. I can't fucking remember. But when they mixed it up, I was like, oh shit! There's chemistry here. There's good shit. Fucking John Moxley on one side and on the other side of the greatest pro wrestler alive today. So what are you gonna do? Ospreay, Mox, Juice, and Tanahashi. That was tremendous. It was such a fun match. Are you guys ready for the NXT Deadline review? Are you ready for it? For the NXT Deadline review. NXT Deadline. You know, I thought putting numbers in names was no. You want to stick around for this? It's going to be a blast. There's going to be, isn't it like an early 2000s thing that we used to do that? You know, like Lucky Number 11 and all that bullshit, right? What is it? Stop it! Stop putting numbers in names. It's just horrible. Well, I mean, it's a horrible name for a horrible show. This was a bad wrestling show, folks. This was a bad wrestling show. And look, and I understand. I understand that wrestling is subjective and that, it takes all sorts of chocolates to make a chocolate box or whatever the fuck Forrest Gump said. And all sorts of colors in the rainbow. So you can anyone will find an audience. Some things can be, but there are things on this show that are objectively bad. And there are things that, if as a wrestling fan, you look at this and you have to be asking yourself, what am I watching? What is this? This is an event. Everyone always talks about how WWE devalued, WWE putting, streaming its pay-per-views instead of having people buy them, right? Back in the day of the network, the criticism that they had and that they had today and that brought them eventually, it was a legit criticism too. The criticism that brought them to dump the network and try to license out the content instead was that it devalued the pay-per-views. And no one would buy them, right? And yes, but I think the one thing that it did, and that it's a little more insidious and no one really realized it, is that even the pay-per-views stopped feeling important. And the fans don't understand that what they're watching should be a significant turn of events, that there should be big time things happening and matches that break out of the ordinary things that you see every week on TV. That was the point of a pay-per-view. But the minute that WWE started getting all the guaranteed money back in the days of the network, when they had all the subscribers, they were like, well, who cares? We don't have to get people to buy pay-per-views anymore. You just tune in and watch. And it's the same thing with the PLEs. Like, if I'm in this audience and I bought tickets to see this special event, a PLE, otherwise known as a pay-per-view, which is boosted up as being something significant, something different, something above the norm of what you get because everyone is putting their best foot forward because this is a big show. If I'm watching this and I paid money for this, I'm disappointed, angry. Like, what the fuck is this shit? This was a bad show. Thank you for clarifying on the Forrest Gump thing. I completely lost it there. But, so, there's the spoiler to my review. I can get into it, and I will get into it. I will tell you why this show stunk. There was one saving grace on this show. But everything else that happened on this show was so bog standard, cookie cutter production, lifeless. There's no vibe to it. It's all sheen and plastic, and everyone hitting their cues and their camera angles and their shots, and everything is so fabricated that I understand more than ever now when people look at the show and say, this is not a pro wrestling show, this is a show about a pro wrestling show. I get it now. Because we'll go one step at a time here. This show that happened on December 9, 2023. The Total Mortgage Arena. What a weird name. The total, it feels like it's always on the edge of on the precipice of being foreclosed, right? Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I watched the pre-show match. I cannot stand these talking head segments with the new girl. I don't know. I don't know her name. It doesn't matter. The new mic stand that replaced the old mic stand that apparently everyone liked. Not Kath. No, anyway, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. And they have Rosenberg and the other guy that does the bump, the conventionally handsome one. He's actually kind of witty. I don't hate the guy, but it's just like in this context, and they all have the same inflections and the same level of talk, and I'm like, it's so infuriatingly like packaged and saccharine and. Bleh. But I did watch Axiom versus Nathan Frazier because these are two good pro wrestlers, and I'm like, well, maybe they'll let them do something. Maybe they'll let them do something on this show. Since they're on the pre-show, and they kind of did. They had a pretty good match, I thought. Axiom coming in like with the blur is who? Do you know what I'm talking? I don't know if anyone watches this. Axiom, I guess his thing is that he's fast or he moves through time. I don't care, but when he comes in, they have like a filter on the camera where he moves so fast he's like a blur, but he's just really moving. Like they're slowing the frame, they're reducing the frame rate to make it look like he's going faster, and then and it blurs, and it is the worst. Like I'm looking at this, and this is legitimately not a fun thing to be watching right now. And you have Vic Joseph going, he jumps out of your screen, he's so fast. I'm like, no, Vic, this is not what he's doing. By the way, I say this at every PLE that I watch of this fucking brand. Every time. Booker T is the pits. He is the worst commentator on any commentating table in modern pro wrestling today. He is awful. He is off-putting. He adds nothing. He gets confused and off-putting. Oh, I really like that. Infuriatingly bad. I'd like to go harder on Vic Joseph, but he has to carry that guy. And he does a fucking great job carrying him and getting him out of the holes that he digs himself into. Fucking hell. Anyway, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, look, honestly, the most impressive thing, and I mean this sincerely, the most impressive thing in this match was Nathan Frazier landing on his feet after a Phoenix splash. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. You know? Because the other guy moved out of the way. But Axiom, A-Kid. Axiom hits a Spanish fly in the golden ratio for the win. There was a superplex into a spinning neck breaker that Nathan Frazier did in this match, and Vic Joseph called it. He called the superplex. He said, "Look at this, Booker." They did the instant replay. A superplex gets him back up and into this innovative move. It's a spinning neck breaker. Vic, you've been at this for a couple of years now. A spinning neck breaker is an innovative move. Let's pump the brakes here. So the show opened up with CM Punk coming out to chat with HBK, Michael Hickenbottom, the booker, head booker of NXT. And it was an awkward fucking cringe fest. I think the idea was that both guys have to, they had, oh, well, there's this animosity, and of course, like, CM Punk has a fucking Bret Hart hoodie on, and Sean says, I got a problem with your attire right now. And CM Punk's like, oopsie. You know what I mean? Like, it's the phoniest shit. And I'm watching this, and they seem to be doing, trading barbs, whatever. And then CM Punk takes a selfie. He's like, oh, I'm backstage, and all the kids come up to me and they say, hey, can I take a selfie? I grew up watching you. Well, I grew up watching you. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. This is all about healing. You made up with Bret. I made up with Triple H. All of this is about healing. No, Phil, this is not all about healing. This is about making money and sticking it to Tony Khan. Fuck you. Fuck you, you disingenuous piece of shit. I understand what you're doing, don't get me wrong, but, it's fine. It's fine. I can call out the bullshit when I see it as well. So he's doing all of this, and the segment just peters out. At some point, it's just like, oh, okay, the segment's over. Like, what the fuck happened? And then Punk hits the bricks, right? Like a good old vet should, hits the bricks before the first match. He's like, I'm out of here. Sayonara. Of course he does. CM Punk has turned into everything he hated. Everything he stood against, he has become. Let's move on. The first match of this shit show. Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee defeated Dominic Mysterio to become the new NXT North American champion. So there's not much to say here, okay, in regards to this match. I gave it 3 stars, like as we like to call it, the gentleman's 3, right? It's like, all right, it's fine. It's okay. But there's like the bog standard shit. Dominic stinks. And you can drive it, you can write me and tell me Booker T said that he's the MVP of it. And I'm like, I don't care. And if anything, that's an endorsement to him being shit if Booker T thinks he's an MVP. He stinks. Dominic stinks. And every time I look at him, I'm like, what do people see in this? Why are people, outside of the fact that it's frustrating to see a guy with an eighth of the talent that his father had be in this position, which I can understand, outside of that frustration, which isn't even good heat, because I want him to hit the bricks. What am I doing watching this guy? Like, he's terrible, no presence, doesn't carry himself like a star. He's a big sludge. He's a sack of turnips, is what he is. But here's the wild thing. This is the wildest thing here. You know, first of all, I think Dragon Lee did a combinación cabrón in this match. I think that's what he did. But they have him come out, they being the WWE. They have Dragon Lee come out with Rey Mysterio, right? Because they don't have enough faith in Dragon Lee being over enough. And he comes to the ring, and Rey gets on commentary, and then commentary spend the rest of the show talking of this match, I should say, talking about how Dragon Lee is the future of Lucha Libre, right? And Rey is there, and he's talking earnestly. He said, you know, he is a fantastically talented Lucha Libre, and he does it for La Raza, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, Rey, really? Because Rey has to know that we're talking about a guy being the future of Lucha Libre, being in a promotion that has been hostile to Lucha Libre for decades. There is no Lucha Libre in WWE. A couple of weeks ago at Survivor Series, we had Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar nose to nose in a ring where I was like, this has the potential to be great. And they had the most bog standard WWE house style match. And it blew my mind. Because these are legitimately two great luchadors, and they're doing basic ass bullshit. So what happens here? You have Dominic Mysterio, who can't work outside of doing the Three Amigos. He can't work. So what the fuck is Dragon Lee supposed to do? Dragon Lee just comes out as a guy with a cool mask. That's all. Like, I honestly don't understand how anyone can be excited about Dragon Lee even at this point. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. They bring in Dragon Lee into NXT. They sign him. They do the big deal. WWE signs Dragon Lee. And frankly, it was a big deal. They should have done it. I'm not shitting on them for doing it. Dragon Lee was a huge get for them. Tremendous free agent. Young guy. Ultra talented. Well, young. You know what I mean. Tremendously talented. And yes, a guy who can do it all. You go watch any of his matches outside of WWE and you'll understand why. But ever since they brought him in, he's been a guy. He's just been a guy. Despite coming in with tremendous fanfare, most WWE fans who have never watched a lick of CMLL or AAA in their entire lives, they have no clue who this guy is. They're like, this guy's not special. What's so special about him? This is what Lucha Libre is? Lucha Libre kind of stinks. He's the best? Wow, wouldn't want to see the worst. It's all terrible. Honestly, you know, you couldn't have delivered unto me a more standard match full of aggravating shit to me than this one here. Because I promise you, you can go into Google and type Dragon Lee versus anyone, find any free match you can of this guy out there. Find his matches against Hiromu in New Japan. Anything. So that you'll see what they're doing to this guy. And how it is nonsense for WWE to be sitting there and saying he is the future of Lucha Libre when WWE is a promotion where Lucha Libre is disrespected, is vehemently fought against. They want the guys to unmask. They don't want too many masks at once. Gets confusing, gets a little weird. Anyway, I said so, the gentleman's 3. Women's Iron Survivor match. I thought this was boring. And the crowd was fucking dead for this match for the longest part. Bea Priestley and Fallon Henley. not B. Priestley. Blair Davenport started this one off. Tiffany Stratton comes in. She can't save this. The crowd is not into this. You know why? Do you know why? Because they don't want to watch wrestling. They want to pop at the high. We got the high spots here. They want to pop at the high spots. They want to cheer for the entrances. They want to say, "Whoop that trick." That's what the NXT. That's what WWE audiences want. I don't know what the crowd here for the first, what is it, 10 minutes, 50, it's a new person every 5 minutes or 3 minutes. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. No, so it's the first 10 minutes, right? Yeah, because 2 start and 5 minutes and then 10. Yeah. So for the first 3 women, which was the first 10 minutes of this match, there's just nothing happening. Crowd is completely sitting on their hands. They've got Tiffany Stratton here. People keep telling me Tiffany Stratton, man, she's so fucking over. She's one of the greatest things. And yet, they cheer for her entrance. And then when she starts to cook, everyone is, there's a nice mumble coming from the crowd. Kalani Jordan was in here as well. Kalani Jordan, she's the new fresh thing, right? She's the new one that everyone is excited about now, right? Because she's dynamic, she's a high flyer, but she's also green as hell. You can tell when a wrestler has the deer in headlights look, when they're trying to do shit. And not shitting on her, and I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying she's green as hell, and they're trying to sell her to me like she's this revelation. I'm like, why do we always have to go to this? And when I say they, I'm talking about WWE NXT fans. It's always the same thing with these fucking NXT shows, with these people. It's like, it's never measured. It's never, look, Kalani Jordan has a lot of work to do. She's got a great presence, great charisma, which she does. She clearly has the athletics. She wants to do the high flying shit. I think she can do it. Okay. I'd have to see more of her, because in an Iron Survivor match, you don't see much of the basics. You don't know what's going on really. It's people running into each other. It's fucking action figures going. So, whatever. She does a move off the top. She does a springboard at some point. Kalani Jordan does off the top rope to the floor, and like I don't remember. I think it was a moonsault, a springboard moonsault, and she lands like on the slight on the slice of the commentary table. I'm like, Jesus, she just hurt herself. It happens to anyone. I'm not saying she's sloppy. I'm not going, botch. It happens. All I'm saying is that sometimes we have to pump the brakes on these people to give them the accolades when they really do fucking improve and truly become complete packages. But for some reason, the minute you have NXT people starting to shine, starting to get a connection, it's like, they're the greatest, they're the next big thing, put the strap on them. Look at what they're doing with Tiffany Stratton now. Everyone told me they're going to take the title off of her and they're going to put her on the main roster. Well, she's not there. And she's dying in one of these matches here with these women. Everyone told me Tiffany Stratton, she's going to be pushed to the moon. She's got the rocket pack strapped to her. I don't see it. She lost this match. She wasn't even the top scorers. Excuse me. She wasn't even the top scorers of this match. What are we doing here? Like I said, it is okay to be measured and reasonable. Even if you really like a pro wrestler, you can say, these are their strengths. This is what they still have to work on. Metaphor, Lash Legend. Here's something that you won't hear very much come out of my mouth. I thought Lash Legend looked perfectly fine here. I think they figured out how to operate her, play to her strengths instead of trying to have her do fucking moves. They want her to be a powerhouse. They have her do powerhouse moves. She's a reaction wrestler where she just reacts to people doing shit to her, like Nia Jax, where someone will run into Nia Jax and Nia Jax will do, and then the opponent will fall to the ground. They're doing the same thing with her. I didn't think she looked that bad, but I think they found a way to smoke her and mirror her. I believe. She didn't blow me away. I'm not like Lash Legend, what a revelation. I'm like, okay, well, she didn't stink. And I'm saying this because Metaphor, she's in this group with the Noam Dar and whoever, Oro Mensa and someone else. And they're, of course, right, you just can't have a match in WWE. You have to, they're blocking the penalty box gimmick and people are flying off the penalty box gimmick. I'm not going through the rules. You can go read them. I thought this was boring. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. Then we had Carmelo Hayes versus Lexis King. I'm going to read from my notes here. What's really great for Brian Pillman Jr. is that he can be the ordinary basic-ass pro wrestler he's always been and shine in this WWE house style, where he doesn't have to overperform to win the audience over with his skill. He just has to let creative give him the direction he needs. I think that's it. And I kind of feel, I'll tell you though, I kind of feel like the WWE faithful, I think even them are kind of like looking at Lexis, at Pillman Jr. and they're like, wait a second, this guy's kind of bad, isn't he? This guy's kind of, he's kind of nothing, isn't he? And this was a nothing match for Carmelo Hayes, who, again, is another guy people keep telling me he's the next big thing. And I like Carmelo Hayes, don't get me wrong. This was a mismatch because Lexis King is a bog standard worker, whereas Carmelo Hayes has a bit more pizzazz to him. And no matter how, and this was this heat segment that Pillman Jr. had was one of the most torturous things I saw the entire weekend until I watched Diener versus Tommy Dreamer. Jesus Christ. This was bad. This match stunk. And there's nothing you could tell me. What is it about lipstick on a pig? Brian Pillman Jr. You can give him the phony beard as much as you want. You can give him the throne and all the bullshit, but a charisma vacuum is a charisma vacuum. And this is a guy, and you can go back to any of my audio, any of it. And I will always say the same thing, and I'm going to say it once more. This is a guy who, would it not be for his lineage, for whom his father was, would not even be getting the opportunities that he has. He is the definition of a mid wrestler. The prototype. They broke the mold. That's how much of a mid wrestler he is. And he's on this PLE, this great show. This show that you have to carve time out of your weekly regimen to watch. It's not on a bog standard Tuesday. No. It's on a Saturday. This is a big deal, folks. You got to get into it. Get into the PLEs. Come watch Carmelo Hayes and Brian Pillman Jr. tear nothing down. And this match would not end. Interminable. I wrote it here. Listen, Melo mounts a comeback and Lexis King lands a jackhammer and this match is interminable. Nothing but net puts it away for Carmelo. There was nothing but nothing in this match. Now, the shining star of this show, men's Iron Survivor match. This ruled. Now, despite the fact that I had quibbles, I thought that this was a tremendous effort by everyone involved. I thought this was great. Everyone was working hard. Let's see, who did we get? It was Tyler Bate, Josh Briggs, Dijak. They did a lot of the heavy lifting in this match. All three of these guys. And man, I remember Tyler Bate. And sometimes, you look at him go and I'm like, I still see flashes of that fucking brilliance. That stuff that made us all flip out for the UK brand back in the day. That kid. And he's still young. But you often wonder how much we've wasted with him. How much has been wasted with him. I see, none of us decided for him to be under pushed, right? To be tucked away. You want a guy who has no business being there either. Donovan Dijak, like, what the fuck? What is he doing in NXT? What is he doing surrounded by these dopes? By the fucking, he's in a feud with Carl Fredericks now. What are we even doing here? Dijak, I mean, he's getting up there too, right? He's 36. I mean, he's a very good pro wrestler. That's the thing. He's 36. He's getting up there. He shouldn't be with these goofballs. But honestly, there's explosive offense. The crowd is into this one. There's, especially when Trick Williams comes in. I mean, people love them, the Trick Williams. They love him. They did, and he has the sing-along theme, and he comes in, does some leg lariats. Nothing out of the, that'll make you toss away your Misawa tapes, But you're looking at this, you're like, all right, well, crowd's into it. He's explosive. He's got that explosiveness about him. I like him. I like his look. He jumps off of Josh Briggs' back. Josh Briggs is on all fours. He jumps off of Briggs' back to clothesline Dijak as he's flying off the top rope, and the crowd goes bananas for it. I'm like, that's a cool spot. All right, crowd is into this. This is fun. Crowd is lit up for this match, and they do a good job. Now, my quibbles is that, as opposed to the women's match, where there was like, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pinfalls total. There was like 10, 13, there's 15 pinfalls in this match. And Trick Williams wins by scoring like all of them within the last like 20 seconds of the match, and that really fucking annoyed me. I was like, oh, come on. Crowd was into it, and it's like, you did. But I'm like, we've had guys wrestle hard here the entire match, putting on great performances and should be in a position to have scored more pins. This guy is just racking them up one after the other. That sort of took me out. I feel they could have told another story where he had to really work hard throughout the match to get his 4, and then being tied at the end with, I don't know, fucking Braun Breaker, who gives a fuck. And then he comes over, and then I think the drama would have been better and more believable than all of a sudden having these pins, this burst of pinfalls of just like jackknife covers. And I'm like, this is silly. Then it becomes silly, and then I'm like, all right, well, crowd was super into the finish though. Trick Williams, man. He's they like him in NXT. And again, he's a guy I kind of feel like they smoke and mirror a little bit. I don't think he's a finished product either. Now he's got a shot at the world title. It's not Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, there's another quibble, comes in, spears guys, scores 3 pins in a row. I'm like, oh, okay. Last year, they didn't do this bullshit with the deadline match, which I thought was much better than this one, by the way. Last year, they didn't do this kind of bullshit. They, everyone worked, everything, the pinfalls made sense, everything came together. It was all logical, but this shit doesn't work. It's stupid. People coming in, blah, blam, blam, pins and then 4 pins within 10 seconds. Like, oh my God, I don't know what it took me out of it. In a match that was fairly decent, Look, they have this at 8.8 on Cage Match, which is cuckoo. It's too high. It wasn't that good. I would have broken 4 with this if it hadn't been for the unnecessary amount of pins and. But look, one last thought. Braun Breaker, he's still the guy in this brand. You just look at what they did with him in this match. He comes in, he starts throwing spears. What do they call him? The badass now? Whatever. I think he's supposed to be a big tough guy now, right? He comes in and he's doing Steiner recliners and Frankensteiners and all this shit. He's still the guy. Later on, they're asking, during the Dragunov Baron Corbin match, they're asking, who will dethrone Ilya Dragunov? It's going to be Braun. Look at what they're doing here. I told you all when Carmelo lost the belt, and in the screwball way that he lost the belt, when Braun lost the title to Carmelo Hayes, and Carmelo Hayes sort of did it in a screwball way, I told you all, this company doesn't have confidence in Carmelo. And even though they had to take the title off of Braun because no one was into the Braun push anymore, and it was turning against them, the audience had turned against them, they still opted to protect Braun because he's still the guy for them. He's still the guy. Mark my words. They seem to be setting up a story here of who will beat Ilya Dragunov. Mark my words. It will be Braun Breaker because he's still the guy in NXT. They still 100% perceive him as the guy. And Trick, he'll be next up. He'll get a satisfying loss, something that'll tug the heartstrings of the fan base and make them like him more. As far as the babyface goes, he's fucking red hot. I don't even know who's that red hot on main right now. Not Cody anymore, I'll tell you what. So I want to post a retraction from earlier when I was talking about the Carmelo Hayes Lexis King match, when I said there was a heat segment in here that was one of the worst things I saw all weekend. Only thing that was worse was Tommy Dreamer versus Diener. That is a lie. Because the only thing that I saw that was worse than Tommy Dreamer versus Diener from the Impact show was Kiana James versus defeating Roxanne Perez in a steel cage match. That was abysmal. That was abysmal. And I don't even understand the point of steel cage matches in WWE. Okay? I don't understand what they're for anymore, because no one ever seems to be hurt by them. Like they're overprotecting themselves so much. It's just like no one ever it never looks brutal. it looks like you're, look, I've played with my buddies in chain link fences, and we'd throw ourselves into the chain link fences, and we'd fall on our backs and we'd laugh. And that's kind of what it looks like. I think, and why do you do them if the fucking referee is going to open the door if you need to get out? Isn't the idea? Now I know the match was not, escape rules. It was pins, submissions, whatever the fuck. But so the idea is in a cage match is that you hate this person so much you want to lock him in a cage with you so no one can escape and no one can get in. But at some point, fucking Kiana James is going to the door. The referee opens the door. Right? He's like, come on out. Like, what are we doing? What is the cage for? And then at some point I'm like, oh, it's for people to throw themselves off the top from, right? And then at some point, Roxanne Perez climbs up. I'm like, well, okay. Here's your cage match payday. But no, they fight up at the top and then they all come tumbling down. And I say tumbling. They climb down and they continue in the ring. What is the cage for? I don't understand what it's for. And this is another grudge match that Roxanne Perez has, right? Just like the Weapons Wild match that she had a couple of weeks ago, right? A couple of months ago at this point. Her Weapons Wild match, this was to settle the score with what was it, Cora Jade, whoever the fuck, it doesn't matter. And she was so pissed off at, but she comes out and she's smiling and she's doing her entrance. It's the same fucking thing here. And you're coming into a cage match. This is supposed to be a grudge match. I'm not buying this. I am not into any of this. And the wrestling is basic and dull. Roxanne Perez, since she has been in NXT, has devolved. She is a shell of what she used to do. I don't understand what is going on. But they're telling her to hold back, to do whatever the fuck. And she is not the wrestler she was before being signed to NXT. And I was talking about this on the on the members only stream this weekend. Her matches on these PLEs, right? She has not had a single straight wrestling match ever since she has joined this company. All of her matches have been gimmicks. If we pull up the stuff here, her first match, her first PLE was the Weapons Wild match against Cora Jade at Halloween Havoc last year. It's still one of the absolute worst shows I've ever seen. Then the Iron Survivor match last year. Then a triple threat at NXT Vengeance Day this year. Then a ladder match at Stand and Deliver this year. Then a Weapons Wild match at Great American Bash. And then the steel cage match. Like, she hasn't even wrestled a single straight one-on-one, no frills match. They're always tossing her into these gimmicks. 3 ways and 6 women, and these matches are not doing her any favors. She's not in her element. They stink. And this was awful. And then Izzy Dade comes in. For some reason, Roxanne really has to close the door to the cage. So she's pushing Kiana James away, and she's like, I'm going to close the door to the cage. And she's grabbing on the cage door. She's grabbing for it. And then Easy Dade, whatever an Easy Dade is, pops out of nowhere and she crashes the door on Roxanne, which allows Kiana James to get the win. I don't even know what an Izzy Dade is. Why Roxanne wanted to close the door is beyond me, because the refs would have just opened the door regardless. 2 out of 5 stars. This stunk. And do you think that this match got me excited to watch Ilya Dragunov and Baron Corbin? All I wanted was for the show to finish. That's all I was looking for at this point. But I'll tell you what, I thought this was a very competent Raw main event that they passed us off on a PLE. You know, bland, competently wrestled, no real emotion, no connection. I gave this 3 1/4 star. Okay? I'll tell you this. This is my 2 things. First of all, Baron Corbin, and I'm afraid that this is going to be the reality moving forward, Baron Corbin will never overcome his years of goofy gimmickry. I don't think he's ever going to overcome it. From, you know, the Applebee's manager GM bullshit to the King of the Ring thing where he he got humiliated by The Rock and Becky Lynch, and then had dog food poured over him, and then broke Corbin, or whatever the fuck they called him, and happy Corbin, all that shit. That guy's toast. He will never be taken seriously. I cannot watch a Baron Corbin match in the year of our Lord 2023, and especially in the main event, and be like, this is a serious contender. I can't buy it. But again, it comes to prove what I have often said, is that this idea that, oh, at least they're on TV thing is not always a good thing. I don't believe that, oh, well, at least they're on TV is some kind of reward. You know, because if you're on there doing stupid shit, it looks like stupid shit. And it can hurt you. And I think this is exactly what happened to Baron Corbin. Years upon years of being booked like a geek. All right, well, he's a perennial geek at this point. And it's going to take more than an NXT rehabilitation to make him come across as a guy, if that's what they want. I think they have at this stage, a perfect mid-card jobber that can lose as much as he wants. No one can take this guy seriously. I'm sorry. He might be a really cool dude. It has nothing to do with him personally. Talking about his career and how it was handled. You know, he spent the better part of his career making Vince laugh. Because Vince wanted to, and Vince probably said, good shit, pal. And, at least he's on TV. So many other people would love to be in his spot. Pretty sure there weren't that many people who wanted to have dog food being poured all over him. That's one part. The other part, like I said, bog standard, competent match, no emotion. And I'm saying this about an Ilya Dragunov match. Ilya Dragunov was a guy who is basically a bundle of emotion. He's a guy who transmits and emotes like a mother trucker. Let's put it that way. You know, he's tremendous. And I'm watching it. I'm thinking to myself, why am I watching such a dry Ilya Dragunov match? This doesn't connect to me. It doesn't work in my mind. But I think what we saw here is a preview of what an Ilya Dragunov match might look like on main roster, if and when he's called up. I think this is what his matches are going to become No longer the impassioned, bloody slugfests. The explosive wildness and raw emotion that comes with him. I think no. I think this main event, him versus Baron Corbin, basically set up a template, set the tone for an eventual Ilya Dragunov run. I think that's what his matches are going to look like once he gets onto main roster, if and when. I'm sorry. And when you think about that, like that, you look at the match and you're like, yeah, I think, go back and watch the match if you really want to. You really don't have to. But as far as this main event went, just dull as drywall. Well done, but I don't know. I didn't think this was a good show. And the Iron Survivor match, I thought was good. Very good, actually. It doesn't save this show. And the most spectacular part of all of this is that I'm not even going to recommend you go back and watch it. It doesn't matter. I still think last year's was better. I thought Grayson Waller did a much more spectacular job as a heel in it. I thought everything made more sense. I thought last year's was umpteen times better. This was very good, don't get me wrong. I think this is a show that needs to be squirreled away and forgotten about. It contains some of the most dismal NXT matches I have seen this entire year. I saw 2 matches on this card that I could not believe I was watching in a company, in a show produced by a $1 billion company. Learn during developmental. No, don't give me that shit. Don't give me that shit. Not at this stage. Not in PLEs. I'm not watching on a fucking random Tuesday night. I'm not watching Level Up on a Friday night. I'm watching one of their marquee shows, something that should be showcasing how good these kids are and how great the future of WWE looks like. And it's also very fucking basic. And all these people need work. And they're jamming so many people on these cards. And they're calling up main roster people to fill up the spots. What are we doing here? It's a mess. The CM Punk promo with Shawn Michaels at first, the way it all fell apart, that was an omen. Let's talk about something that'll get me excited. That'll get me in the right mood instead. Let's give ourselves an update on the Continental Classic. If you listen to the MrWarrenHayes show reviews of both Collision and Dynamite, then you get your bi-weekly fix of Continental Classic updates. It's not unlike when I do my G1 coverage over the summer, when the G1 is on and I do the daily shit. I don't do, it is daily. I do it the next day. After every Continental Classic, which is a show, we got one on Rampage. Look, you know what I mean. But we're in a great spot right now with the C2. And I'm really excited. Now we're in a great spot because here's what my analysis so far has been this. And you can go back and you can listen, you can check and all of that. I thought when this started off, when the tournament started, I expressively said to everyone who would listen, this tournament has to get out of these first matches that we saw, which were competent, good matches, but very basic TV matches. If this tournament is to reach another level, if this is supposed to reach the level that Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston have been telling us, they've been saying this is the greatest tournament, we're going to make this the greatest tournament in all of pro wrestling in all the world. these matches all have to hit another gear. They have to move on to another level. They absolutely have to. So as the tournament progressed, Jesus, that was hard. As the tournament progressed, the matches got grittier, they got tighter, they got stronger, and we have been kerblonked with some tremendous matches all throughout over the past 2 weeks, over the past 2 episodes of Dynamite and Collision. Collision this week was a terrific show, completely carried by Kingston versus Claudio and Andrade versus Danielson, which in the minds of many is the match of the tournament so far. I'm ambivalent. I don't know what because I like that one. I thought Kingston and Claudio was fantastic. I thought Danielson and Garcia on Rampage was phenomenal stuff. Like, out of this world phenomenal. Then we had fucking Swerve and I'm drawing a Swerve and Mark Briscoe, which was tremendous. You know, Moxley and Roosh, which was a fight. So, tremendous stuff. And the tournament has been picking up and has been getting better. And guess what? Guess what, guys, gals, non-binary pals? People have been watching. People have been tuning in. The quarter hours are solid. There's a certain amount of money that is being put to a certain amount of mouths, one would say. You can even look at Collision this week as a fantastic example. Collision on Saturdays, of course, as you all know, when it is head-to-head with WWE PLEs and NXT, it takes a trouncing in the ratings. It just eats shit. Well, this week, the ratings maintained. And if you look at the quarter hours, the ratings, the quarter hours previous to that dipped really low, but rose back high for the last 2 quarter hours of Danielson versus Andrade. And it opened strong with Eddie and Claudio. Then things started going boom, 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 boom. And then at the C2 matches had people tuning in for them. Okay? So we have observable proof that the C2 at this stage, because the matches are getting good, because there's buzz, because people are excited about it, because people are starting to understand the concept of a round robin, which really isn't all that hard, folks. But nonetheless, now that people are wrapping their minds around it, it looks like it's a draw. It looks like people are tuning in. Go figure that instead of on a Saturday, instead of booking a show similar to the one that's being put on by the market leader, you're doing something different and you're drawing fans nonetheless. Isn't that strange how that goes? Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? But thankfully, someone in this company, in AEW, sat everyone around a table after the first week, convinced, and said, guys, we can't leave it like this. We can't just like leave, coast through the rest of this tournament. We got to crank it up, and they've been cranking it up, and the stories have been cranking up at the same time. It's been tremendous stuff. Let's talk about the Gold League. So I'm not going to break down every match, and if you want to hear my reviews, if you want to hear what I thought about the individual matches, check out my Dynamite reviews, check out my Collision reviews. I do a C2 wrap-up at the start of every one of those reviews. You know, I usually talk about attendance and the business aspect of it, and then I move on to the show itself. So it's usually within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the video or of the audio, whichever you want to pick. So if you want it, so that's what I've been doing. Starting off my my Dynamite and Collision reviews with C2 wrap-ups, breaking down the matches, giving you my opinions, my review. So if you want that, that's where you should go. What we're going to be talking about here is the standings, where we are, and what to expect as far as who can move forward, what are the scenarios presented in front of us. I want to thank Suit Williams from Voices of Wrestling for helping out here with a great article over on vicesofwrestling.com. So let's start with the Gold League, as you probably all know, and maybe by the time you're listening to this, because I'm recording this live on a Tuesday evening, and this will be out on the Wednesday, so maybe by the time you listen to this, maybe Gold League will be an entirely different story. But as it stands right now, Jon Moxley is and Swerve Strickland both at 9 points, both with 3 victories, 0 defeats. So they are in neck and neck, and they're doing the blow-off match this Wednesday. So that's significant right there. Jay White comes in at second place with 6 points. He has 2 losses and 2 wins and a loss. Excuse me. Roosh is at 3 points. He has 1 win and 2 losses. Meanwhile, Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe both eliminated from the tournament with 3 losses, ergo no points. There's no way that they can make their way up. So, as we said, we've got Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland this week, Jay White versus Mark Briscoe, and Roosh versus Jay Lethal. So, let's start with the easy part. If Roosh wants to stay relevant in the tournament, if he wants to stay alive, he has to beat Jay Lethal this week. That's without question. So that's something that he has to do, and he has no margin for error here, because if he loses to Jay Lethal, he's eliminated. He's done. Actually, there's a couple of ways he can get eliminated here. He might not even make it. He can be eliminated with. He can be eliminated if Jay White. Let me see here. Yeah, he can be eliminated if Jay White beats Mark Briscoe. Okay, I want to preface this. We don't know how they're handling tiebreakers yet. We're operating under the assumption that they're working with G1 Climax tiebreaker rules, which are the ones that most people know about, and these, which means that in the event of a tie, the wrestler who has the win over the wrestler he's tied with breaks the tie, gets the win. So in this case, Jay White has the win currently. Has the win currently over Roosh. That's right. There we go. I'll get it out. So he currently holds a win over Roosh. If Jay White wins here against Briscoe, he gets to 9 points. He gets to 9 points. So even if Roosh wins his next 2 and gets to 9, Jay White ties him, and Jay White will beat him regardless. So Roosh will get eliminated if he loses his match. If Jay White wins over Mark Briscoe, or if Swerve wins over Jon Moxley, because let me see here. Yeah, because Swerve will be at 12, there'll be no way for him to catch up. Or even if Swerve and Mox draw. So it's a sticky situation right now for Roosh. The only scenario that he advances is if he wins his last 2 matches and finishes with 9 points, which would mean having beaten Swerve Strickland, who would have lost to Jon Moxley, if that makes sense. But then again, he needs Jay White to also lose this match. So there's a lot of moving parts. Like, I think last week I said on the Dynamite review, I said that I considered Roosh to be soft eliminated. I think this is we have a good case for a soft elimination here. So he's just about out the door. Jay White will be eliminated if he loses to Mark Briscoe and Moxley wins over Swerve. So he's got a little more wiggle room. Since let me see here. So his best chance is to move on, is to win his remaining matches and get 12 points. If he loses to Mark Briscoe, that means that the most points he can get is 9. And since Swerve has the tiebreaker over White, Swerve wins any tiebreaker, which means that it should be that which means that he would need, actually, he needs Jon Moxley to keep Swerve down in this part here. Now, the big match, the interesting match, of course, that everyone is talking about is Jon Moxley and Swerve. Now, neither of these guys are going to be eliminated. As Suit Williams points out here, the Moxley-Strickland match winner is guaranteed a berth in the Gold League semifinal with 12 points. They'll be guaranteed that. So whoever wins this match is guaranteed a spot in the final. If the match ends in a draw, both men would have 10 points, but neither would have guaranteed advancement. And I kind of think that's the scenario we're going with. I think this is what we're doing. So we'll have to see what happens here. But whoever loses in this match here, whether it's Moxley or Strickland, neither of them are eliminated from the tournament. And whoever wins here guarantees the top spot for themselves in the finals. And what's even more, and look, my gut, just instinct, my gut is telling me this match goes to a draw. I really do think this match goes to a draw. I think, look, they've been, you remember a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember exactly which was the first match it happened, when they called the 5-minute, they called the 15-minute mark, right? 5 minutes left. I was like, oh shit, they haven't done this at any other time in the tournament so far. This match is going to a draw, but they didn't. And they kept doing it, kept going to the 15-minute mark, calling the 5 minutes. And now over the past, just this weekend, we're at the 3-minute mark. And I'm like, oh shit, are we going to a draw? They've been building very slowly to a match that is going to end with a draw. We're getting very, very close. We're getting very, very close to a match that is going to end with a draw. And if there's one here that I think would just toss everything up on its head, it would be Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland getting a point each, and then having one more match to contain, so that they would have so that the potential they would get is 14 points, right? 13 points, excuse me. I'm terrible at math. We'll have to see what happens here, but holy shit. Like, this is some really interesting stuff so far. So that's what I'm feeling. Suit here points out that there's a scenario where 3 men end up There's a scenario where 3 men end up fighting for one spot in the final league play. That is the one where Moxley, White, and Roosh all win. That would lead to 2 massive single matches on the December 20th Dynamite, with Moxley versus White and Strickland versus Roosh, both determining who ends up in the semifinal. That'll be interesting to see. Let's move on to the Blue League. The Blue League! I had called out that this would be my favorite league, and I think it is. I think it's delivered the hardest, the best, the most compelling matches, the most surprising ones as well. The Blue League standings look like this. Brody King, Andrade El Idolo, and Bryan Danielson all at the top with 6 points. Now, the difference that we have here is that Brody King and Andrade both have 6 points, but have only wrestled 2 matches. So they're 2-0. They're both 2-0, whereas Danielson has wrestled 3 matches and has 1 loss. So Danielson is at a little bit of a disadvantage here. He may have 6 points. He may be tied with Andrade and Brody, but one of these 2 guys will very likely surpass Danielson. Eddie Kingston scored his first win of the tournament on Collision against Claudio in a tremendous match. He got his first 3 points there. He's 1-2. Claudio is 1-2 with 3 points as well. And Dan Garcia, 0-3. He is officially eliminated from the tournament. But his match with Danielson, let me tell you something. I was there live for it. Anyway, we have no matches announced for Blue League just yet. But right now, there's as opposed to Gold League, where you have clear, a clear set of people at top, whereas like it's either one. The field is much more narrow. Here it still feels a little bit like anyone's game, right? But the eliminations, nonetheless, for this upcoming week, whenever Blue League action returns, whether it's on Rampage or Collision or both, it's really simple. Eddie and it will be this till the end. If Eddie Kingston loses, he's eliminated. If Claudio loses, he's eliminated. Whatever happens. If either of these guys lose their match, they're done. So we don't know who's fighting who yet. That's it. We don't know who's fighting who yet, but it's I think it's interesting to think of Eddie Kingston having the Naito run, right? Losing all his matches, then doing the comeback kid and coming back and getting 9 points and securing his spot in the finals or the playoffs, because there is a finals, right? The Dynamite before World's End is a playoff. It's a semifinals. It's a semifinals before the blocks. We don't know if it's finals, semifinals within the block leaders, within the same block, or if we're doing like gold winner versus blue runner-up and blue winner versus gold runner-up. We don't know. But there is semifinals to happen. But it's still pretty much anyone's game here. Brody King, Andrade, Danielson, they're all in this. Kingston and Claudio, they just have to keep winning. I think Claudio's going to be eliminated soon. I absolutely see Eddie Kingston doing playing the comeback kid here. He's got 2 matches left against Andrade and Garcia. I think he can secure a win on Garcia, who's clearly in the tournament to take the L's, which is fine. There's always a guy who has to do that. Yeah, he lost against Danielson. He lost against Brody King. So Danielson and King, they have to lose their matches. They have to start losing matches if Eddie is to move forward here. Like if Brody or Danielson win their next match, Eddie Kingston is pretty much out of it because they hold victories over him. If we're doing this type of tiebreaker scenario, right? So this could be really interesting. I can absolutely see a scenario where Eddie Kingston fights from underneath. I mean, that's his thing. That's his entire gimmick. And people love Eddie for that, right? Eddie's been delivering some of his best performances all year in this tournament. And I know people will be like, what about his match with Kojima? No, not even as good. not even remotely as good as his match against Claudio this Saturday. He's been tremendous. Like, equivalent to a couple of his matches from the G1. He's been tremendous in this tournament. You can tell that he's all into it. There you go. And yeah, look, I can absolutely see Dan Garcia spoiling Brody King's tournament, which would make tons of sense on top of that. So that's where we're at right now. We just got a couple of weeks left of block action. Next thing you know, World's End is going to be on top of us, and we're going to be crowning a triple crown, a North American, a triple crown champion. I can't say North American because there's a Japanese title involved in this, but you know what I mean. You think whoever should win needs to do the Ultimo Dragon pose with all the titles, right? It won't be as impressive as Ultimo Dragon. Don't get me wrong. It's just 3 titles as opposed to a dozen. But still, we can have a little fun, right? So I watched Impact Final Resolution this weekend. Let me get the notes here proper. It was the last Impact show. The last Impact branded show that before they do the switch back to TNA in January. And it happened at the world famous Don Kolov Arena in Mississauga, Ontario. This one goes out to all the Canadians here. Whenever you purchase something in Canada, whether it's food, general goods, you take the box, you flip it around, and it's like, let's say a bottle of Coca-Cola, and you read the fine print, you have the little barcode, and then you have the fine print. It's like bottled by Coca-Cola Corporation Canada, then an address in Mississauga, Ontario. And everything is from fucking Mississauga. Everything is shipped in Canada out of Mississauga. Mississauga, like in the minds of millions of Canadians, is just like one big distribution center. There's no one lives there. There's no trees. There's no dog parks. There's no public pools. It's just like, warehouses as far as the eye can see, with semi trucks, angling between them everywhere. That's the perception that everyone has of Mississauga. And so when I see a show in Mississauga, I'm like, they did this in a warehouse. And frankly, I wanted to watch this because I was like, I want to see what they're going to do for their last show. For the, we're burying the Impact brand. We're putting it out of its misery. We're bringing back the fan favorite, the one that has the history. And then on top of that, earlier, a couple of days ago, I think the day before the pay-per-view, TNA announced that they were partnering with Endeavor Streaming for TNA Plus, their subscription service. Let me see here what the TNA touted that the app is relaunching in January 5th, with a new dynamic look along with expanded options and increased functionality. There will be 2 price tiers for the service. The special attraction tier, priced at $9.99 a month or $95.99 per year, which includes access to the full TNA Impact Wrestling library and every TNA Plus special event. The World Championship tier is priced at $219 a year and includes those benefits as well as TNA's 4 major annual pay-per-views a month. So I mean, good for them if they're partnering up with a solid streaming partner. I still think it's a little weird. Look, I guess it generates enough revenue for them to do it, right? When the market leader pulled out of this, direct to consumer market, decided to license their content, TNA is sticking to their guns here. Maybe just they can't license their content. This is also possible. But, you would assume that, that there's value in them doing this as opposed to just like putting everything on Fight TV, Triller TV. And another thought that I have here as well, and look, keep this in mind, right? And you got to look at how the way the wind is blowing here, folks. TNA, Impact Wrestling, TNA has its subscription service where you have access to a whole bunch of stuff. But if you want the big shows, you got to pay a little more. You gotta scooch up a little more money here. $219.99 a year. And you can probably still buy them on pay-per-view on top of that. Why am I pointing this out? Because of WWE and their current model, which I'm sure they're biting their teeth at. I'm sure Endeavor's like, how do we get out of this? Where I keep saying, I'm telling you, I'm convinced. And I would not be surprised if it happens for the next WrestleMania. WWE is going to go back to some form of pay-per-view. I'm convinced at this point. They cannot be looking at TNA doing this or AEW doing it and getting substantial pay-per-view buys in the meantime and saying, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we getting all the money? Getting their licensing deal, and then on top of that, charging for WrestleMania, right? I know the deal for Peacock goes to the 26th, but it's their content. You know what I mean? If you ask me, and I don't have their contracts in front of me, but is there a clause that guarantees that WWE will broadcast every one of their televised events on Peacock all the time? Their PLEs and so on and so forth. Or is there a clause in there that says PLEs, and Chad is pulling up some arguments that I've seen multiple times, and I disagree. I completely disagree. Saying, WWE pay-per-views won't sell at $50, especially at $50. And I disagree. I cannot disagree more. And I'll tell you why. And I've used this argument talking about AEW, and it applies here as well. If your product is hot and people want to watch it, they're going to pay the money to watch it. And I completely disagree with this. I had people argue with me saying in regards to AEW tickets, the pricing is too high. The barrier for entering is too high. That's why people are not going. It's like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. If your show is hot, people will buy it. I had the same people argue the same argument with me when it came to AEW going to 12 pay-per-views a year. One every month. No one's going to be able to afford 60 bucks. That's not the point. But you know what? They're making money, much more money in pay-per-view revenue that they did than they did before they were just doing the quarterly pay-per-views. It's just that simple. They have, and it's been shown. And look, the pay-per-view numbers haven't dropped to 50,000 or 25,000. No, we're still in the $100,000 buys range. Yeah, we're talking 300 pay-per-view buys between All In and All Out. That's one thing. But then between All In, World's End, and Full Gear, we're actually close to 125. We're close to like 250, 280,000 pay-per-views just within the last couple of months. So again, the idea that it's not going to work is not, I don't think it's true, because that's the reason why you create a hot product. That's like saying Taylor Swift is not going to sell any tickets when they're $1,800 a piece. Yeah, see, like Zach makes a good point. It's like when WWE did more in-your-house pay-per-views and increased the price of them, right? And the idea when the in-your-house pay-per-views started, right, when they began, they didn't charge full price. They didn't charge the price of a WrestleMania or a Survivor Series or so on and so forth. They ended up they were priced lower because they were objectively B shows. They just wanted to get that revenue in. But as things went on, they started raising the prices, and turns out, you know, the differentiation between buying a WrestleMania and I don't know, in your house Vengeance Day, whatever it was tremendous, right? It was much smaller is what I'm trying to say. Not tremendous, it was smaller. The differentiation, anyway, why did we start talking about this? Oh, because So the fact that TNA is doing this, right, means more money for them, and it's naive to believe that TKO is not envisioning this for WWE. And I cannot think of a better event to kick this off than WrestleMania. And people are going to grumble, they're going to complain, but they're going to buy it. And then it'll be rebroadcast the next day or the day after on Peacock. You know, it'll be that kind of deal. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But knowing how WWE controls its content and dictates the rules in a lot of their contracts, I wouldn't be surprised if in their deals that there's nothing in their Peacock deal that absolutely guarantees that their events have to be broadcast first run on Peacock, right? Kind of feel they can do whatever they want. But I digress. I could be absolutely wrong on that as well. And maybe, like Carlos said, might just be in 2026 that we just see this happen when the deal with Peacock is expired. The point being is that if they have the smallest loophole to pull it off, they're going to pull it off. Anyway, so good for TNA for getting the streaming service set up with Endeavor. And so, okay. So I sit down to watch the show, and immediately the angle is like the Don Kolov Arena is not the Don Kolov Arena is not, I don't think, conducive to live wrestling shows, because the angle they had set up the hard cam was very off-putting. Like, it really looked like a setup for an indie show, and the ring had this weird perspective. You know, it's like, whoa, okay, this is fucking wild, right? And I'm like, so I look at this, and I sort of, and I'm a little put off at it. I'm like. And I'm a little surprised, right? Look, I don't watch the week to week, right? You all know this. And I jump in for their flagship shows. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, what a weird setup for the last Impact show, right? And I'm set up for this, and I'm getting ready to watch, and there's something that I heard Mike Gilbert say at the Mike and JD podcast that I listened to not too long ago, and he actually covers TNA. He has a TNA podcast. Mike does, and he was saying something to the effect that, here's the thing that's weird with TNA right now. This is the thing that's really weird. Is that they decided, they announced the change a month ago at this point, right? They announced the change for TNA from Impact. Gets nothing but buzz, a positive reception, great buzz from everyone. It's like, oh, okay. And what do they decide to do? They being TNA, right? Impact. They decide that they're taking Christmas off, like they're taking the whole month of December off. They're doing jack shit. They do instead they've taped or they've already aired, I don't know, the IWPF gimmick that they do, the Impact World, the Impact Professional Wrestling Federation, something like that, where they spoof 80s, 90s pro wrestling, and the wrestlers come out in gimmicks, and it's a fun time for the wrestlers and whatnot. And Mike was like, isn't it weird that this is what they decide to do? They decide to take some time off, run no shows that have to do with TNA or Impact, not build any buzz, and instead fall back on this gimmick, which again is fun for people who are there live, fun for the wrestlers, but does nothing to promote TNA and what you're doing next. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this show, and Mike's words are resonating in my head. I was like, he's absolutely right, and this show is indicative of that. Because I'm straight off the bat, I'm not breaking down this show. I'm going a little long, and I don't want to stay here indefinitely, and I do want to preview Final Battle, even if it's going to be a little on the quick side. So we're not breaking everything down. But this was not a good wrestling show. and commentary throughout the evening. Tom Phillips and Drama King Matt Reitholt. Charming gentleman, right? I've chatted with him before. A delight of a human. Lovely man. The heel commentator gimmick does not fit him at all, though. It's grating at some point, and it's his voice. His voice is so mellifluous and calming. He doesn't sound like a heel. It doesn't work. He's got to stop that shit. Outside of the opening match, which had ABC retain the tag titles against Eddie Edwards and Heath, and Mike Bailey and Trent Seven versus the Rascals, which was very good. And the main event of the Motor City Machine Guns versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Josh Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr. There we go. Which was tremendous. A great match. Outside of that, I've got really nothing to offer. I just have to allow this stuff to just be relegated to memory. There's nothing of interest that happened in this on this show, and they were setting things up. And look, there were angles being set up, right? The Rascals came in to fuck around with ABC, and then they did that the same. And clearly they're setting up a tag team match, and that's fine. Moose and Rhino, who cares about? Moose had 2 matches on this fucking card. I can't stand Moose and Rhino, and then he kicks Rhino in the balls, and then Rhino restarts the match. And then they have a second match. Like, who fucking cares? And the absolute worst match that I have seen put on by a North American promotion this year, and I am not doing hyperbole. I'm not going overboard here. I'm not trying to do a bit. Talked about it earlier in the show, and we're going to underscore it here. Tommy Dreamer versus Diener for the Impact social media title, whatever they call it. Dreadful. A 10 plus minute water torture device. Like, I recently plowed through the Saw movies I haven't watched, and I would be much more content to be sitting in one of Jigsaw's traps than watching watching that match again. I'm sitting in this, and I'm looking, and I'm saying, and I fucking wrote it here. What am I doing watching Tommy Dreamer wrestle in 2023? And it's a match with limb work. Diener is working a limb. He's working one of Tommy Dreamer's limbs in this entire match. And Dreamer is immobile. He can't move. He's a dud. I gave it a 1.5 stars. I haven't rated a single match this low this entire year. This is the worst match I've seen all year. Dreadful. Jason Hodge versus Jake something. I like Jake something, but who cares here? It's just shit happening. The women's match was fine. Alicia Edwards had a match with Jody Threat. Jody Threat did her goddamn best. But there's nothing going on in this show. There's no energy. Nothing feels like it's actually transformative. Nothing feels like we're moving on. Commentary is battering home that this is the last Impact show of all time and how special a moment it is. And can you imagine? And they go through the history of Impact at the start of the main event. I'm like, can I just watch Zack Sabre Jr. twist? Can I just watch Alex Shelley and Zack Sabre Jr. try to twist themselves into pretzels? Can I just watch that in peace at that point? There's three good matches. Look, there's two good matches, one great match on this show. And listen, Trent Seven, and I know butt of a lot of jokes, on and so forth. He lost weight. I thought he looked good. Worked his fucking ass off. I heard he did good work in Rev Pro. If Scott D'Amore wants him in, because Scott D'Amore did the whole "you're gonna sign here tonight" gimmick, and like he did with Mike Bailey and all this stuff. But I don't know who this was for. It wasn't for me as a guy who is a very casual Impact watcher, and I should have prefaced this properly. I am not an Impact hater. I enjoyed most of Impact's I was gonna say PLEs. Christ, I'm being poisoned. Pay-per-views this year. I thought they were varying degrees of quality, but overall, I have some good memories. The fucking Steve Macklin PCO bloodbath. That was, unnecessary and frightening. I enjoy covering their pay-per-views. I could not watch this on a weekly basis. Don't get me wrong. Because when I see Impact shows like this, It reminds me of all the things that really fucking annoy me about Impact and that I just can't get behind. That just turn me off of the promotion. But then I get the Motor City Machine Guns, Josh Alexander, and Zack Sabre Jr. wrestling, and I'm like, this is, it's like a cold, it's like a nice warm shower, after a day in the coal mines, right? Mike Bailey and Trent Seven versus the Rascals, that was fun. The opener, that was fun, and everything. It's just nuts. So I don't know who this was for. I think if you're an Impact fan, you're like, oh, well, they buried the brand. Like, literally buried the brand. Where it's like, we can't go out on a note. Maybe this was by design. We can't go out on a note, letting people think that the Impact era was better, right? We can't do that. I myself, I look at this, I don't, this is not for me. If this was my entryway into TNA Impact, I'm like, no, this is not great. It's chock full of nonsense. Tiny victories. There was no Bubba Ray Dudley on the show, which is good. But other than that, tiny victories. Fucking Tommy Dreamer wrestling for 11 minutes. In 2023. Anyway, if this was the way to end the Impact era, and say, thanks for the memories, Impact. Holy shit. It feels more like they had to settle a score than actually like send something off into the night. And like, this was not a Viking funeral. This was like being jettisoned out of the fucking space shuttle. I do not recommend in case you, actually, look, if you have, what was it? How long was the match? If you have the time here, if you have, it was 30 minutes. If you have 30 minutes, but want to make it feel like it's 15, watch the main event. I'm surprised. 28 minutes, the main event, and it really felt like a breeze. That was an absolute delight to watch. But other than that, no, don't watch this show. But I'm going to echo. I'm going to echo once more Mike Gilbert's thoughts. I don't understand how this gets people excited for the next chapter. I don't understand what they're doing. It's very strange. It's very strange. But a Ring of Honor pay-per-view on a Friday night, that's not very strange. That's actually pretty much par for the course. Ring of Honor Final Battle 2023 happening this week in just a couple of days, December 15, at the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas. If I had prepared properly for this, Okada, commentary, not commentary, but chat wanted me to comment on the match that's being set up for Okada's big return to TNA. First of all, I really do hope that Okada hits the ring, picks up a microphone, and says, "I'm home." I really fucking hope he does that, if only to make the Jacksons pop. But he is going to be wrestling in a 6-man tag, because that's what you do, right? You bring in the big guy, the big name, and you stuff him into a fucking trios, right? Kazuchika Okada back in TNA, being used just as expertly as he did back in the day, teaming with Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Nice little team, good little group there, nothing to bitch about, against fucking Moose Eddie Edwards and fucking Brian Myers. They're gonna force him to wear the Kato gear. You know it at this point. What else is there? What is this? Wasn't it like Kenny Omega, he didn't want to work with Moose, and I don't blame him? Sack of shit. And all this shit can hit the bricks. You're bringing Okada back, and it's more booking malpractice. The hell, man? We've learned nothing. Look, on the other hand, TNA's back, baby. Let's get this over with. We got to put this show out of its misery now. Ring of Honor Final Battle. Let's pull up some numbers here. Garland, Texas, Curtis Caldwell Center. As of, let's see here. As of this weekend, December 8th, WrestleTix has the show at 1,056 tickets distributed for an estimated for a capacity of 3,722 seats available. So Ring of Honor and AEW hand in hand with terrible attendance numbers. But then again, it's like, look, the capacity for the capacity for this arena. It's no. Doesn't say here. I know they can pack more than just like a couple of, 3,700 or whatever it is. But look, it's dismal numbers right now. We'll see what the next update from WrestleTix. But maybe there's going to be more. Maybe there's going to be more tickets that are going to be sold because there's been a couple of great matches announced since the tickets came on sale. In fact, there were no matches announced when these tickets were put on sale. We don't even know what the hell. There's not even going to be there's not going to be a Ring of Honor World Championship match, is there? Right? Eddie's not wrestling on this, right? No way he can. Not now. Then again, we still have a Dynamite left and a Ring of Honor taping to go on Thursday. So who the fuck knows? Anyway, Dalton Castle, Commander, Kyle Fletcher, Lee Johnson, Lee Moriarty, and someone else will be fighting in the survival of the fittest finals for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. All right, let's go 5-way, 6 ways. I want to back up a bit. I feel like I'm already being problematic here. Ring of Honor, TK era Ring of Honor pay-per-views have been tremendous. They've just been great stuff. What was the last one? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But the last one they did, right, it was all put together within 7 days of the show, and everyone was losing their minds. Like, how is this supposed to work? Ring of Honor in the mud. And it turned out to be one of the best shows of the fucking year, right? They did a qualifying scramble. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's a reason why I'm not subscribed to Honor Club. I'm not into this. Anyway, Dalton Castle, Commander, Kyle Fletcher, Lee Johnson, Lee Moriarty, and a TBA. Look, Dalton Castle, I love. I think he's great. He is a shell of his former self, back injury, so on and so forth. But you look at the rest of this field, Commander, Moriarty, Fletcher, Johnson. This is going to be great. This is going to be tremendous. Like, as long as we don't, like, start pulling in ladders and bullshit like that. You know, if we absolutely have to do a six-way to crown a champion, we've lost our ways, haven't we? To crown champions in these multi-person bullshit matches and ladder matches, and whatever happened to the old standard of just like building a, especially in this case here, all you have to do is build 2 challengers, push 2 guys. Come on. We've lost our way. Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor. A lot of history here. I think this should be fun. The last time we saw Keith Lee on AEW television, it was that squash match he had. Was it against Kip Sabian, right? Unless my memory is failing me. I found he looked reinvigorated. I thought he looked a little more like his old self. And, you know, we know he's had health issues. There's probably been a bunch of stuff that we're not privy to that, you know, affected his presence and tenure in AEW. It was 8 minutes, but I said it was a squash match, but then I was like, no, it wasn't a squash match, but wasn't it against Kip, right? I feel it was against Kip Sabian. But the point is that he looked invigorated. He looked good. He's wrestling his old tag team partner. Who knows, where they stand in real life, but I'm kind of down with the idea of Shane Taylor getting more time in Ring of Honor. Shane Taylor is who he is. And, I think he made a couple of missteps when the Sinclair era came to an end. But he, clearly Tony's given him an opportunity, and I don't think he wants to fuck it up. And, their history goes, both of these guys, their history goes pretty deep. So I think this should be good. Should be interesting at the very least. Ethan Page versus Tony Nese in an I Quit match. I got to read some notes here because I don't know how we got to an I Quit match between Tony Nese and Ethan Page. But Mark Sterling scouted Ethan Page as a potential client, but Page turned down the invitation. Page went on a winning streak, winning 5 matches in a row. He referenced this in his challenge to Kenny Omega. Next match was against Tony Nese, which he lost due to Mark Sterling's interference. On the rematch, Sterling was ejected from ringside, and Page won the match. For the rubber match, Sterling demanded he be allowed at ringside, and management agreed under the condition that Sterling will be handcuffed to a ring post. The official contract signing took place on the December 7 of Ring of Honor, where Sterling told Page that the match would be an I Quit match. Nese and Page then signed the contract. Sterling then threw powder in Page's eye, with Nese throwing Page through a table. The only concern I have here is, will this be one of these 20-minute I Quit matches, or is it going to be like a proper 30, 40-minute one? Or they beat the shit out of each other, so fast that it makes sense. This is not the main event. It's not even the most interesting. It's a good setup. It's a good look. I read off the angle. I'm not particularly, like I said, I don't watch the weekly show, but I understand the angle. Makes sense to me. It seems like it all came together very well. All right, it's fine. I just get worried when I see I Quit matches and false count anywhere, or these kinds of things. And it's like, and they end like in a blink of an eye, like in a standard TV time match, 15 minutes, 17 minutes. You're like, I Quit matches have to have a little more gumption to it, right? I like Tony Nese. I like Tony Nese a lot. I've always been a big Tony Nese guy, even all the way back in his 205 Live days. Ethan Page, well, look, I talked about Ethan Page on the Collision review this week. To reiterate the main bullet points, I think he's a good little wrestler. I think he's perfectly good at what he does. I think, a lot of people overshoot how good he is. I see him in the ring with Kenny Omega, and I see him playing his hits, and I see Kenny Omega playing his hits, and Kenny Omega's hits are so much more impressive because it's fucking Kenny Omega, one of the greatest to ever do it. When, I didn't see Ethan Page drag out anything I've never seen before from him, where he's like, oh, he's doing the iconoclasm, oh, a scoop slam, oh, okay. Good match, don't get me wrong. Kenny Omega. Page was fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bury him. But Ethan Page, I think he's a what you see is what you get kind of guy. And he's got his moveset. He's not a barn burner. He's somewhat of a throwback. He's fine. He's fine. It's all right. He's all right. It's just, he kind of made the match with Kenny Omega his proving grounds match where he's like, hey, I can do this. I can be up here with the top guys and so on and so forth. And then you're like, yeah, you can wrestle with them. Sure. He doesn't shine. He doesn't do anything that you'd expect out of a Kenny Omega match, out of a match where you're wrestling Kenny Omega, if that makes any sense. The Jay Briscoe Memorial Fight Without Honor. FTR and Mark Briscoe team up to take on the Blackpool Combat Club trio of Danielson, Moxley, and Castagnoli. This is going to be all sorts of fucking awesome, isn't it? I mean, just grab all your snacks, turn off your phones, close the blinds, don't answer the door. What a tremendous match this is going to be. Fantastic promo by Dax to build this up. And I believe, if I am not mistaken, this is the first time that Danielson, Moxley, and Castagnoli will be teaming as a trio since the BCC formed. I think it's always been either tag teams or Yuta's been the third guy. I don't think the three top guys of the BCC have ever been in a trio. So that also makes it special. Oh, this is going to fucking rule. They're just going to beat the shit out of each other and everyone's going to cry at the end. And they're going to fire the guy who handles the WWE on Fox account now. Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the WWE on Fox account, which is whoever's running it is out of a job regardless. You know what I mean? Like he's losing his job regardless. But they, I should say, because we don't know, could be a man or a lady or a non-binary. Whoever they are, they tweeted out a screen cap of the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley, and they captioned it "Dem Boys," right? And Mark Briscoe unfortunately decided to go on Twitter that day and saw that, and he quote tweeted it, and he was like, basically saying disrespectful. What the fuck is this? And he added he did add Triple H. Are you the guy running this account or whoever he is? Take it down, man. That it stinks. And Twitter went after the guy. The guy fucking lost his brother. And it's legitimately their tagline. Like, here's the thing. I'm convinced 100%. Here's the thing. 100% convinced that whoever is running the WWE on Fox account has no clue who Jay Briscoe was or who Mark Briscoe is. Convinced. Okay? They know who Kalani Jordan is. They know who Izzy Dade is, but they don't know who the Briscoes are. Okay? Convinced. So I am very, I'm secure in my belief that this was not done maliciously. It was a good faith mistake, right? So I have trouble blaming them and saying, oh, it's a direct shot. And I absolutely cannot blame Mark Briscoe, who's still mourning his brother. And who are we to tell him when to stop or how to stop, or let him mourn whichever way he needs to. I can't, if that triggered him, it's absolutely fine. People shouldn't have gone after Mark Briscoe the way they did. That was pathetic and sad. And another example why X, formerly Twitter, is a shithole. And you need to get off that shit. Y'all should come join me on Blue Sky. Join the MrWarrenHayes Discord. Send me a DM on Discord. Ask me for a Blue Sky code. I have a ton of them. I'll get you in through the door. Trust me. People actually talk to each other instead of just hurling bullshit at each other. Anyway. Yeah, we all know how this is going to end. Mark Briscoe hitting the J Driller. On who? Who? Mox, right? It feels like it's the kind of thing Mox would like to do. And then Athena versus Billy Starks for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, which I would say right now has a tremendous chance of main eventing a second Ring of Honor pay-per-view in a row. Unless you finish with the Jay Briscoe match. But, I mean, it's a toss-up to me right now. And Athena had this long story with Billy. You know, she was the minion in training and so on and so forth. And then Billy had enough. Requested the match. Tony Khan got involved in this. Is this the time? Are we bringing the end of Athena's reign in Ring of Honor? Only if Athena goes back to AEW to tear a new asshole into the women's division. Because Athena's work in Ring of Honor is one of the only things I have truly kept up with in Ring of Honor. Her work has been impeccable. She's a tremendous worker, great presence. This championship run has only solidified her confidence. Whatever way she was feeling a few years ago when she left WWE and came into AEW, that day she decided to shoot on Jody Threat. You know what I mean? Was the day that her life started over again, that her career took a completely different path. So here's the deal. If they have nothing for Athena in AEW, keep the fucking strap around her. But the women's division in AEW absolutely could need an Athena. Absolutely 100%. The void that Jamie Hayter has left since her injury it's palpable. It's there. Bring Athena back. she's got the work rate. She's got that energy that's missing right now in the women's division. But have something for her. Just don't have her come in and pop in once in a while and run in to save some. Give her matches. Let her reintroduce herself to the main AEW audience. I'm looking forward to this, and I'm excited to see how much Billy has grown as well. Should be fun. Should be fun. And there you go. That's our Ring of Honor Final Battle preview for the big show this weekend. And that also means that this is the end of the weekly wrestling inspection. Where are we? What's going on? Aha! Hey, I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. I'm glad. I'm happy about it. You know, there's sometimes I finish a podcast and I'm like, yeah, this one's, yeah, let's go. I like this one. And I feel like I like this one. I hope you did too. Look, first of all, I want to thank everyone who joined us live here tonight and stuck to the very end as well. Here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. We record this live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you're ever in the mood, come and join us. We'd love to have you. Come and join the chat. It's very lively, very friendly, very cool. We'd love to have you. youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you're watching right now on demand, though, hey, I appreciate it tremendously. One last pitch for a like and a subscribe on the video and on the channel would be tremendous. I'd appreciate it a great deal. Helps the channel grow tremendously. Just as I'm going to give you one last pitch for a like, a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Again, all things that just help grow the podcast tremendously. Appreciate it in advance. Otherwise, I will be back on Thursday for the AEW Dynamite review. Back on Sunday for the Collision review. More Continental Classic. We're heading towards the end, so it's all very exciting. But hey, you know what? In the meantime, I hope you all have a great week. I really do. Have a great week, everyone. Be safe. I'll see you next time.